I only happened to miss 108 calls from the female CEO, that's all. My childhood friend who has struggled with autism since she was little thought I had abandoned her once again, so she locked herself in the study and pulled out a knife, starting to harm herself. By the time I got the news and rushed back to the Shen family villa, I saw a crowd of people gathered in the main hall. I looked at the butler and asked anxiously, "How is Basie?" The butler let out a long sigh. "The young lady has locked herself in the study. I've gone in to call her several times since dinner was ready, but she hasn't responded at all." Hearing the butler's words, my anxiety only grew, and I decided to find someone to break down the door. Just as the butler was about to go call someone, I stopped him. "Wait, breaking the door might hurt Basie. There must be a spare key in the house, right?" The butler hurriedly replied, "Yes, there is." "Oh, go get it right away." Very soon, the butler returned with the spare key. After handing me the key, I flew up the stairs. Reaching the study door, I knocked first and called out, "Baiju, can you open the door for me?" But all I got in return was a terrifying silence. She wouldn't answer, let alone open the door. At that moment, the tip of the knife in Shen Baiji's hand had already pierced deep into the flesh of her chest. She seemed to hear me calling her name, but a second later she shook her head, denying the thought. How could it be? Guchen is gone. He'll never come back for me again. Just as Shen Baiji tightened her grip on the knife, intending to plunge it deeper, there was a click, and the study door swung open. It was me. I had used the spare key to unlock it. Under the light spilling in from the hallway, I saw the room was in total disarray, and my eyes frantically searched for Shen Baiji. The moment I saw her, my pupils constricted, and my heart skipped a beat. Baiji, no. Outside the door, Lin Mudao and Wen Qiao, her best friends, also saw the scene. They didn't dare to move recklessly. Everything depended on me now. Shen Baiji looked up toward the door, blinking her soulless, exhausted eyes, thinking it was just a hallucination Shed conjured. A smile spread across her pale face. I'm seeing a fake Guchen again. I saw the knife in her hand, held right against her heart, fresh blood already staining her pure white dress red. Terrified of startling her, I didn't dare rush forward, only able to take slow, deliberate steps, stopping about 2 meters away from her. "Baiji, look at me. I'm really here. Can you put the knife down?" Shen Baiji didn't believe it, staring at me fixedly, afraid that if she blinked, I would vanish. She spoke with a childish, pouting voice. "Guchen doesn't want me anymore." Looking at Shen Baiji like this, my heart broke into a million pieces. "Baiji, I would never abandon you. See, I'm standing right here, aren't I?" Seeing her expression waver slightly, I continued, "I miss you so much. Can you give me a hug?" Beiji's eyes were glued to mine, her heart in a violent struggle. She was so scared, afraid that everything before her was just a dream. Once she was certain it wasn't a dream, Shen Baiji looked down at the knife in her hand, then pulled it away and tossed it aside. Seeing her finally let go of the knife, I immediately rushed forward and pulled her into a tight hug. Shen Baiji started to reach out to hug me back, but when she saw her hands covered in blood, she stopped. "My hands are so dirty. Can you wait for me to wash them, Oppa?" I kept holding her tightly, refusing to let go. "It's okay. It's not dirty. Not at all." I didn't dare let go. I feared that the moment I loosened my grip, Baiji would do something foolish again. Perhaps because she could feel that I was truly right there with her. Shen Baiji's spirit finally began to relax. A second later, she couldn't hold on anymore and fainted. I held her, shaking her gently, calling out frantically, "Baiji, wake up." Lin Mudao and Wen Qiao, who were waiting at the door, heard my shouting and rushed inside immediately. As a doctor, Lin Mudao quickly opened her medical kit, meticulously checking Baiji's condition. I stood right by her side, not taking my eyes off her for even a second, not taking my in a lot of pain when she wakes. Hearing my barrage of questions, Lin Mudao was a bit surprised by my excessive concern for her. She had always thought that between Baiji and me, it was only Baiji who was hopelessly in love, while I was always trying to avoid her. But seeing this today, it seems that wasn't the case. Lin Mudao looked at me and replied, "The wound on her hand is fine, but the one on her chest is quite deep. Just let her sleep. She should wake up by tomorrow." I looked at her peaceful sleeping face and nodded. Lin Mudao left her phone number. "Call me anytime if something happens." I tucked Baiji in, took her uninjured hand, and just sat by the bed, watching her in silence. Her eyes were tightly shut, and her pale lips were devoid of color. Her skin was naturally fair, making her look even more like a fragile porcelain doll. I held her hand and whispered, "Please wake up soon. Can you talk to me for a Everything was fine during the... How did it suddenly turn into this?" Shen Baiji remained in a deep sleep, not responding. I remembered my past life. Baiji had been like this too, lying beside me with her eyes closed, never reacting no matter how much I called her. My heart tightened, aching as if cut by a knife. Before I knew it, I had fallen asleep by the bedside. In the middle of the night, through my daze, I heard someone calling my name. My mind instantly became alert, and I quickly got up to check on Baiji. She was drenched in sweat, her face abnormally flushed. Her brows were knitted tightly, and she kept muttering, Gu-chen, please don't go. Shen Baiju seemed incredibly restless, so I hurriedly soothed her. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here with you. As I spoke, I helped wipe away her sweat. I put my hand to her forehead to check her temperature. Sure enough, she had a fever. I took a thermometer to measure Baiju's fever, and it showed 39.5 degrees. I grabbed the medicine Lin Mudao had left on the nightstand, gently parted her lips, and placed the pill inside. Then I picked up the glass of water nearby to help her drink so she could swallow the medicine. Trouble was, Baiju kept frowning this time. No matter how I coaxed her, she refused to open her mouth. The pill was still in her mouth, not going down, and the water couldn't get in either. The situation made me panic, so I took a large gulp of water, lifted Baiju's face, and pressed my lips to hers to feed her the water. My lips and her soft, rosy lips were pressed firmly together. In her feverish days, Baiju seemed to have found a cool spring. She bit my lip and began to suck hard. Perhaps because she used too much force, a small piece of my lip got torn. Thankfully, she eventually let go. Feeling her swallow, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, she had taken the medicine. Just like before, after the water, I wiped the corner of my mouth. Baiju, tell me, did you do that on purpose? Did you really need me to feed you like this? And you even bit me. I touched my lip, letting out a helpless sigh. Forget being bitten. But poor me, my first kiss is just gone like that. I intentionally put on a fierce face to threaten her. Just wait until you wake up. See how I'll settle this score with you. Tucking her back in carefully, I went to bring a basin of warm water to wipe her down. She was sweating a lot from the high fever, and since she's always been so neat, leaving her like that would surely keep her from sleeping well. Afraid of touching her wound, I was extremely careful throughout the entire process. I stayed by the bedside watching over Baiju, checking her temperature every now and then. Until dawn broke, I don't know how many times I checked, but Baiju's temperature finally returned to normal. The nerves that were as tight as violin strings finally relaxed. Seeing my eyelids starting to get heavy, there was no way I could hold on any longer. I rested my head on her arm and drifted off. Shen Baiju woke up to find her arm feeling heavy, as if something was weighing it down. Glancing over, she saw me sound asleep beside her. My mouth would smack occasionally. I must have been dreaming about something delicious. Touched by this adorable sight, a smile played on Baiju's lips as she watched me. Sleeping like this certainly couldn't be comfortable, so she gently withdrew her arm and carefully helped me lie down on the bed. Having stayed up all night, I was truly exhausted and desperately sleepy, so I didn't realize at all that I'd been placed on the bed, nor was there any sign I would wake up. Shen Baiju lay back down beside me, turning on her side to watch me sleep. Her eyes were half closed, and her hand gently caressed my cheek. Her voice filled with heartache. It's all my fault for making Gu-chen suffer like this. Suddenly, she noticed the tear on my lip, the wound already starting to scab over. Shen Baiju lightly touched my lip. It's hurt. Did Gu-chen Oppa bite himself? I felt a steady gaze fixed upon me, so I slowly opened my eyes. As soon as I did, I saw Baiju looking at me with deep affection. After staring at each other dazed for a while, I snapped to and scrambled up to sit properly on the bed. I looked at her excitedly. Baiju, you're awake? How long have you been up? Why didn't you wake me? Shen Baiju gave a soft smile. I just woke up too. I asked, a bit puzzled. Why am I lying on the bed? Shen Baiju blinked innocently. I pulled you up just now. I scratched my head sheepishly. I was out so cold I didn't feel a thing. Wait, did you say you pulled me up? Shen Baiju nodded truthfully. That's right. Is something wrong, Appa? I told you that you're still injured. How could you use your strength like that? As I spoke, I moved to lift Baiju's shirt to check if her wound had reopened. What if it started bleeding again? Shen Baiju held my hand, preventing me from lifting her shirt. It's okay. I know my own limits. But if I don't see it with my own eyes, I can't be at peace. I have to take a look. Seeing my firm attitude, Baiju had no choice but to lift her shirt herself for me to see. I leaned in close to meticulously inspect the wound, and seeing no sign of fresh bleeding, I finally breathed a real sigh of relief. Because the distance was so close, Baiju could feel my breath against her skin, and her ears turned slightly red. She shyly cleared her throat, then pulled her shirt back down to cover herself. Are you at ease now? I smiled and said, Baiju, you must be hungry, right? Wait a moment. I'll go downstairs and find you some food. Don't. Baiju didn't want me to leave her sight, not even for a second, so she held onto my hand tightly to keep me from leaving. I smiled helplessly. Be good. I'll be right back. Baiju has always been completely swayed by my coaxing, being totally under its spell, so she obediently nodded and let go of my hand. I had just reached the door and was about to open it when I heard a knock. Opening it, I saw Lin Mudao and Wen Qiao, who were asking how Baiju was doing. I stepped aside and invited them in. She's awake, and going downstairs to find her something to eat. Lin Mudao changed Baiju's dressing and carefully advised, the wound mustn't touch water and don't exert yourself. Shen Baiji nodded, whispered a soft thank you, and said nothing more. Lin Mudao was used to this personality. Seeing she was fine,
She smiled. Then I'll head home first. Just then I arrived at the door carrying porridge and saw Lin Mudao was about to leave. I nodded to her in greeting. Seeing Lin Mudao leave, Wen Xiao thought she shouldn't stay and be a third wheel, so she hurriedly said, Baizhi Uni, please rest well. I'll be going too. With that, she dashed out of the room as if escaping. I watched curiously as Wen Xiao practically flew away, then walked over to Baizhi's bed, asking her, Why is your assistant running so fast? Shen Baizhu suppressed a smile, answering seriously, She's probably in a hurry for work. I walked over with the bowl of porridge, sat down on the chair, scooped a spoonful and blew on it gently, then held it out to Baizhi. Open wide. Baizhi was a bit shy about me taking care of her so devotedly and tried to take the bowl. I can do it myself. I frowned slightly. But your hand is hurt. Baizhi, don't you like me feeding you?
Without hesitation, Shen Baizhi answered, I do. I finally gave a satisfied smile, watching her obediently eat every spoonful, and I patiently continued to feed her. After she had eaten about half the bowl and I held out another spoonful, Baizhi shook her head. I can't taste anything. I don't want any more. Seeing she had eaten so little, with more than half still in the bowl, I coaxed her like a child. Just one more bite, okay? Baizhi is the best girl, right? Shen Baizhi actually listened and tried to eat one more bite. I knew she'd just gotten over a fever, and her body was still exhausted, so she surely had no appetite, and I didn't push her further. As for me, after a busy night, I was starving, so I just took the remaining porridge and shoveled large spoonfuls into my own mouth. Baizhi watched me nonchalantly eating her leftovers and couldn't help but part her lips in surprise, muttering blankly, Gu Chen Appa.
With my mouth full of porridge, I looked at Baizhi blankly and asked muffledly,
What is it? Shen Baizhi smiled, shaking her head. No, it's nothing. Then she reached for a tissue on the nightstand, gently wiping the corner of my mouth. Seeing the scar on my lip, she hesitated for a moment, but finally asked, Gu Chen Appa, how did your lip get hurt? If Baizhi hadn't asked, I almost would have forgotten that my lip had been bitten open. Finishing the last bite of porridge, I lightly licked my lip, then pointed to the injury. Ah, you mean this? Shen Baizhi nodded. I pretended to think for a moment, then gave Baizhi a very firm, serious answer. Well, it was bitten by a puppy. Shen Baizhi didn't believe it, watching my expression closely. Where would a puppy? A stray dog on the street bit me. After saying that, I prepared to bolt because if I didn't run, questioning me, I wouldn't know how to keep up the lie. But Baizhi wasn't about to give me a chance to escape. Just as I started to get up, I was grabbed by Baizhi, pulled back in one motion until I fell into her lap. Baizhi looked down at me and asked, Trying to run? I gave a forced laugh, denying it vigorously. No way, no way. I'm just so hungry. I was going to find more food. Baizhi looked suspicious. Really? I nodded frantically like a chick pecking grain. Really. Shen Baizhi picked up her phone. I'll call someone to bring up another serving. I held her hand to stop her from calling. Never mind. Baizhi put the phone down, her lips curling into a smile. Gu Chen Appa, confess now what really happened to your lip. In truth, Baizhi had already vaguely guessed that she was the culprit, because even in her feverish state, she had a faint memory of biting down on something. It's just that the memory wasn't clear, so she was determined to keep asking, wanting confirmation from me. I knew it. Baizhi wouldn't let me off so easily, so I switched to another excuse. Actually, last night I was so focused on eating a chicken leg that I accidentally bit myself. Afraid she still wouldn't believe it, my voice grew softer and softer. Shen Baizhi raised an eyebrow, hearing this reason. Sounded more plausible than being bitten by a stray dog. Seeing that I was determined not to tell the truth, Baizhi didn't press the matter further. She let me go so I could sit up properly. I sat up while smoothing back my hair, even giving a smug huff. I'm never telling you. When I looked at Baizhi's wound, my expression suddenly darkened, becoming more serious than ever before. I asked her why she was so foolish as to harm herself, and if she knew how dangerous that was. Shen Baizhi could only lower her head in silence. I didn't keep pressing for a reason, but sat down beside her, letting her rest her head on my shoulder. I said gently, Baizhi, promise me. From now on, you're not allowed to do anything to harm yourself anymore, okay? Shen Baizhi tilted her head to see my serious face and gave a small nod in agreement. I glanced at her and continued my instructions. Since you promised, you must keep it. Baizhi murmured, Gu Chen Oppa, as long as you don't leave me or reject me, I'll listen to whatever you say. Baizhi only dared to keep these words hidden in her heart, not letting me find out. Soon, sleepiness washed over me again. I let out a long yawn until my eyes watered. Seeing this, Baizhi said, Lay down and sleep a bit more. I replied with half-closed eyes, Then you have to sleep with me. Shen Baiji nodded slightly, so both of us lay down on the bed. At first, there was still a small distance between us. But moments later, Beiju closed her eyes and began to inch toward me, as if searching for the most comfortable position. In my days, even while asleep, I didn't forget to tell myself to avoid hitting the wound on her chest. My hand reached Beiju's waist, and I held her like that as I fell into a deep sleep. When I was by her side, Shen Beiji was surely the happiest person in the world. Being held by me combined with her exhaustion meant she quickly drifted off too. We both slept for a very long time. It wasn't until nearly sunset that Beiji woke up first. Both of us were still locked in a tight embrace. Seeing that I was still sound asleep, Beiji just quietly watched me. Suddenly, Beiji's bedroom door was swung open with a click by an uninvited guest. Shen Yi, Beiji's mother, spoke as soon as she opened the door. "Beiji, my child, are you okay?" Hearing that voice and familiar address, she knew it couldn't be anyone but her mother. Beiju didn't even bother answering her mother, only using her eyes to signal Shen Yi to keep quiet. Shen Yi was stunned into silence by the sight before her eyes. Was there a boy sleeping in her daughter's bed? She never mentioned liking anyone before, did she? How did Beiju end up with a boyfriend, just while we were away on a trip? If Beiju knew what her mother was thinking, she would probably explode and jump out of her skin. It's as if she used to like girls before. Of course, she's always liked boys. To be more precise, she only likes Gu Chen Appa. Shen Yi stood dazed at the door, not knowing whether she should enter or leave. Fortunately, her dear husband was right beside her. Shen Changfeng was strolling behind her and had just arrived. Seeing his wife standing rooted at the door without going in, he patted her shoulder, about to ask what was wrong, when Mrs. Shen turned around and dragged him away. Before leaving, she very considerately and gently closed the door for Beiju. Shen Chang Feng hadn't even had time to see inside the room. Before being hauled away by his wife, Mr. Shen asked, puzzled, "Dear, we're at the door already. Why not go in and see our daughter?" The couple had just landed from their trip, and hearing Beiju was hurt, they were sick with worry. Even knowing things were stable and she was out of danger, they still had to rush here to see for themselves to be at peace. That's why they flew straight to Baiju's villa. It's true that if they hadn't come, nothing would have happened. But having come, they got quite a shock. Shen Yi pulled Shen Changfeng downstairs. They went to the sofa in the living room and sat down. Then she spoke in a mysterious tone, saying, "I just saw a boy on our daughter's bed." Shen Changfeng sighed. "Is he not just a kid? I thought it was." Before he could finish his sentence, he felt that something was not quite right. He suddenly sprang up like a spring and shouted, "What? A boy?" Shen Yi glared at Shen Changfeng. "Sit down for me." Then she glanced upstairs. "Keep your voice down." Shen Changfeng realized he had overreacted. He cleared his throat and sat back down, and asked, "Did you see clearly whose son he is?" Shen Yi shook her head. "I couldn't see clearly." "Just wait a moment. We will know as soon as they wake up and come down." Shen Yi said to Shen Changfeng with some excitement, "Hubby, at first I was worried that our daughter didn't like men. She is already 24 years old. Before, if any boy touched her even a little, she would be disgusted to death. Now I can finally rest easy." Shen Changfeng, on the other hand, had never worried about this. He knew. Shen Beiji just hadn't met someone she truly liked yet. In Shen Beiji's room, I was woken up by the noise and only slept for a short while. I rubbed my eyes and asked Shen Beiji, "Did someone come in just now?" Shen Beiji nodded. "Did I wake you up?" Gu Chen Appa. "No, I've had enough sleep. Have you been awake for long?" "No, I also just woke up a moment ago." "Who came here?" Shen Beiji replied, "My parents." My face looked as if it had been struck by lightning. "You mean your parents are here?" Shen Beiji nodded. I spoke up a bit nervously. "So, our uncle and auntie currently at..." Shen Beiji smiled softly. "They are downstairs." She didn't even have to think to know. Her parents would definitely wait for them to wake up before going downstairs. But with her parents' personalities, if they didn't see Gu Chen in person today, those two wouldn't be willing to leave. So they saw you and me. I was so scared that I started stuttering. Shen Beiji looked at my reaction with amusement. "My parents are very easygoing. Don't be afraid." I forced a smile that looked worse than crying. "And not afraid, I'm just a bit nervous. Yes, just nervous. It's all your fault. Why didn't you wake me up earlier?" "It's okay. If Gu Chen Appa doesn't want to meet them, I'll just tell them to go home first. I'll introduce you to my parents later when there's another chance. They will definitely like you very much." I felt that it would be too impolite, so I didn't agree with Shen Beiji's suggestion. How could that be okay? "Get up, let's wash up and go downstairs quickly. Uncle and auntie have been waiting for a long time." Shen Beiji replied, "Yes. Just take your time. There's no rush." I quickly hopped off the bed, put on slippers, and rushed straight to the bathroom. After running 2 steps, I returned to Shen Beiji's side. Shen Beiji had just pulled back the blanket to get out of bed. She looked at me suspiciously. "Rushing back and forth like that, What's the matter? I step forward to support Shen Beiji's arm. I almost forgot that you're injured. I'll help you to the bathroom to wash up. Shen Beiji couldn't help but chuckle. It turns out that in Gu Chen Appa's eyes, I'm actually this weak. Gu Chen Appa, I can walk by myself. It's just a small wound. I glance at Shen Beiji. How can you say it's small when the wound is that deep? Besides, your face is so pale. You look like a willow leaf in the wind. You're clearly very weak. What if you fall down? Shen Beiji's gaze looked at the hand supporting her arm. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly. Gu Chen Appa, I'm not that weak. If you don't believe me, you can test it. I supported Shen Beiji, carefully taking step by step forward, and blurted out, test how? Shen Beiji looked at my innocent expression. The desire to possess me in her heart was almost uncontrollable. How to test? By tossing and turning in bed until we're exhausted, to the point of not being able to get out of bed the next day, using actions to let him know whether she is weak or not. The deviant thought only lasted a second, before Shen Beiji quickly hid it away. She cleared her throat and said, it's nothing. The two of them quickly finished washing up. I continued to support Shen Beiji downstairs as before. The further we went, the more nervous I felt. My hand gripping Shen Beiji's arm also grew tighter. Combined from my previous life and this one, I still haven't officially met Shen Beiji's parents. At this moment, it was hard to avoid feeling restless, especially meeting under these circumstances. I didn't know what would happen in a moment. Shen Beiji sensed my insecurity. Her small hand slipped into mine, interlacing our fingers tightly. It's okay, don't be afraid. Then she led me downstairs, walking toward her parents sitting in the living room. Shen Beiji's parents had seen them early on. Their eyes were glued to every step the two took, looking at the hands held tightly together. Shen Yi was overjoyed both inside and out. She couldn't help but keep staring. I looked over at Shen Changfeng. From the bottom of my heart, I felt that he was truly handsome. Both dashing and elegant, time seemed to have left no traces on him. As we walked, I whispered to Shen Beiji, he is so handsome. Shen Beiji replied, you are even more handsome. My face turned bright red. Does this woman have to be so direct when giving compliments? The two approached them. Gu Chen noticed Shen Yi's gaze and felt a bit embarrassed, wanting to let go of Shen Beiji's hand. But Shen Beiji refused to let go, even gripping it tighter. Shen Beiji introduced him to Shen Yi and Shen Changfeng. Mom, Dad, this is Gu Chen. I smiled and nodded in greeting. Hello, Uncle. Hello, Auntie. Shen Yi and Shen Changfeng both smiled and nodded. Shen Changfeng was the first to speak. The Gu family? Is it Gu? First to speak. The Gu family? Is it Gu Zhongtian's family? I was about to answer when Shen Beiji didn't give me the chance. She hurried to answer her father first. Yes, it is. I know that might not be close in the business world, but it's normal for them to be acquainted. Shen Beiji's father knew my father's name. Shen Yi looked at her daughter's behavior, as if she were afraid this golden son-in-law would run away. She reached out her hand and smiled at me. Young Master Gu, right? Come quickly and sit next to me. I nodded and smiled back at Shen Yi. You can just call me Gu Chen, Auntie. Then I gently nudged Shen Beiji's hand, hinting for her to let go of my hand. But Shen Beiji still refused to let go. She led me to Shen Yi's side, letting me sit next to Shen Yi. Then she sat down next to me. As soon as the two sat down, Shen Yi immediately grabbed my hand, pulling the hand Shen Beiji was holding toward herself. She was overjoyed and said to me, Gu Chen, the moment I saw you, I like you very much. You're truly handsome. It would be so wonderful if I had a son like you. Shen Beiji, hearing her mother say this, feared she would adopt Gu Chen as a son in the next second. She didn't need a brother. She wanted a husband. Feeling anxious, she quickly called out, Mom, to stop her mother from saying weird things. How could Shen Yi not understand her daughter's intention? She smiled and ignored Shen Beiji, continuing to say to me, too bad I gave birth to this daughter instead. Her voice was full of mock disdain. Hearing Shen Yi say that, I burst out laughing, losing all the nervousness I had at the beginning. It turns out Shen Baiji's mother is so adorable. I looked at Shen Baiji sitting next to me and said, Aunt Baiji is very good. Shen Baiji, hearing me say this, secretly smiled with happiness by my side. Shen Yi spoke up. As long as Gu Chen thinks she's good, that's enough. If this stinky brat makes you unhappy, just tell me. Her father and I will discipline her for you. Shen Baiji pretended to be pitiful and said to me, already my parents have taken your side. They don't pity me, the patient, at all. That's not true. Uncle and auntie love you the most. Shen Baiji suddenly changed her tone. Then does Gu Chen Appa love me? I was stunned for a moment, somewhat confused about how to answer. Shen Baiji suddenly asked me this in broad daylight, and right in front of her parents too. My embarrassment in Shen Baiji's eyes was misunderstood by her as hesitation. She had never had any confidence regarding me before. She didn't believe she could have my feelings. A flash of disappointment crossed her eyes. She herself didn't understand why.
She had suddenly asked that question. It just slipped out in the moment, not wanting to make things difficult for me. She tried to act casual. I was just asking randomly. Shen Yi and Shen Changfeng sitting nearby saw everything. Daughter, Gu Chen definitely likes you. What is going on here? He saw that you were injured and spent so much time taking care of you, and you still can't tell if he likes you. Never mind, let's leave the young people's matters for them to figure out. Sometimes going through a few more obstacles will help them cherish each other more. Shen Changfeng finally turned his attention to Shen Beiji's health, asking Shen Beiji, "How are you feeling now?" "I feel much better. Don't worry, Dad." Shen Changfeng instructed, "Rest well over the next few days. Your health is the most important thing. Put the company work aside for now." Shen Yi spoke up, "That's right. If there's anything urgent, just give it to your father to do. You just focus on healing." Shen Changfeng was unhappy to hear that. He wanted to spend time with his wife. How could he let work tie him down? His daughter had finally grown up with great difficulty, and the company had already been handed over to Shen Beiji. He didn't want any more entanglements. Besides, everyone knew Shen Beiji's capabilities full well. Shen Changfeng was just about to protest when he met Shen Yi's gaze, which seemed to say, "If you dare argue, you're dead meat." So if he could only reluctantly reply, "Yes, right? Right?" I never expected in a million years that Shen Beiji's father would be this henpecked. I couldn't help but laugh secretly in my heart. I really love this kind of warm family atmosphere. At this time, Uncle Wang came over to announce that dinner was ready, inviting everyone to the table. Shen Yu pulled me over to eat. The father and daughter pair followed closely behind. Shen Beiji only wanted to be by my side. Why did her mother keep competing with her? She glanced at her father, signaling, "Dad, manage your wife well. Don't let Mom keep clinging to Gu Chen Appa like that." Shen Changfeng could only feel helpless. Usually, his wife would always hold his hand. Who knew that as soon as she saw me, she'd like me so much, tossing her husband aside immediately. Arriving at the dining table, Shen Yi sat down with me, then looked at Shen Beiji and Shen Changfeng, saying, "You two sit on the opposite side. I want to sit next to Gu Chen." Shen Changfeng wanted to sit with his wife. Shen Beiji also wanted to sit with her future husband. Well, although he's not her official husband yet, she also wanted to sit next to Gu Chen Appa. She said to Shen Yi, "Mom, sit with Dad." Shen Changfeng also hurriedly added, Right. Wife, sit with me." Shen Yi looked at this father-daughter pair. They were truly being slow and troublesome. She decided to just ignore them and continued talking and laughing happily with me. Shen Changfeng and Shen Beiji could only reluctantly follow her wishes. The two moved over to sit on the other side. Seeing Shen Yi and me chatting so well, they also felt pleased. Once all the food had been served, Shen Yi was busily serving food onto my plate. Before long, my bowl was piled high. I hurriedly said, "Auntie, that's too much. Please eat too." Shen Yi said while serving, "Gu Chen, you are too thin. You must eat a bit more." My mother passed away when I was very young. Shen Yi's care brought me the warmth of maternal love that I had long yearned for. My eyes felt a bit stinging. Afraid that everyone would notice my emotion, I lowered my head to look at the food in my bowl, softly telling Shen Yi, "Thank you, Auntie. You're so kind." Shen Yi's affection for me only grew. Besides my obedient and sensible appearance, she also had an indescribable feeling. Overall, she was extremely satisfied. She only regretted not being able to have Beiji and me marry immediately. She couldn't let this son-in-law fall into anyone else's hands. After dinner, Shen Beiji and Shen Changfeng went into the study together, so Shen Beiji could hand over the current tasks to Shen Changfeng temporarily for her, while Shen Yi pulled me into the garden for a walk. The gentle night breeze in the garden felt very pleasant. I narrowed my eyes, enjoying this comfort. While walking, Shen Yi suddenly asked me, "Gu Chen, are you curious about why Beiju behaves in ways that harm herself?" I looked at Shen Yi and nodded, and certainly curious. I've asked her before too, but she didn't seem to want to talk about it. Plus, she's injured, and her health isn't great, so I didn't press her further. I planned to wait until a suitable time later to ask again in detail. Shen Yi had witnessed Baiju's special concern for me today, so she knew exactly how important my place in her daughter's heart was. She decided to tell me things she'd never revealed to any outsider before, wanting me to understand her daughter better. I know there are rumors outside that Baiji is mentally ill, that she hits people or even kills when she has an episode. Those rumors are truly terrifying and horrible. Shen Yi gave a bitter, helpless smile. She shook her head. Actually, it's not. She doesn't hit anyone and she's never killed. She just quietly locks her door and hurts herself. Actually, it's been a very long time since she exhibited such self-harming behaviors. In the past, at most, she would only lock herself in her room for an entire day.
This time, it was definitely because of someone very, very important to her, or something that affected her strongly enough to make her. That's why she became like this. Hearing this, I only felt more heartache for Shenbeiji. What did she have to go through to end up this way? Shenyi nodded, recalling an event that happened over 10 years ago. She could never forget it, the moment she thought she'd lost her daughter forever. When Beiji was 10 years old, an unintended accident occurred. It was because her father and I were too careless. Back then, our business was extremely busy. The business world was full of fighting and competition. Though winning and losing are common, it was hard to avoid someone harboring a grudge. They actually dared to target Beiji, such an innocent child. At that time, someone bribed the house staff to trick her into going out. They lied and said it was an order. The goal was to kidnap her and ransom her for a large sum. But this girl was very smart from a young age. Noticing something wrong on the way, she found a way to it. Only much later did we find out. We searched for days before finding her. Shen Yu looked at me and asked, "Do you know where we finally found her?" I hurriedly asked, "Where?" Shen Yu replied, "In a small remote village, inside an abandoned house that had been empty for a long time." The moment we found her, I saw her curled up alone in a pitch-black corner. She was only 10 years old back then, such a small, pitiful figure, refusing to let anyone come near. If anyone tried to approach, she would hurt herself. Upon hearing about the small remote village, a familiar scene suddenly flashed through my mind, but it disappeared as quickly as a flash of light. Only hearing Shen Yi continue her story, none of us knew how a child like her had managed to survive those days. Her father and I spent a lot of time by her side, helping her gradually regain a sense of security, and she no longer Only when her mood was truly terrible would she lock herself in a dark room, as if only there she felt protected. "Guchen, are you afraid? Afraid of a Baijiu like this?" I reached out to wipe a tear from my face. "Auntie, I'm not afraid. I only feel deeply pained for her. Rest assured, Auntie, I will take good care of her." Shen Yi nodded. "Guchen, when you're together, talk to her and check on her more. I truly hope you two can be happy together." Baijiu, she often acts without ever saying anything, but I can tell that girl loves you very much, and you're the same toward her. I spoke seriously. "I promise, Auntie, don't worry. We will definitely be very happy. It seems to be getting cold. Let's go inside, Auntie." After saying that, the two of them started chatting happily about other things. Walking quickly back into the house, as soon as they entered the house, they saw Shen Baiji and Shen Changfeng had finished their business and were coming down from upstairs. Shen Changfeng called out, "Wife, shall we head home now?" Shen Yi felt a bit regretful. "Must we leave right now?" Shen Changfeng replied, "Our daughter is injured and needs to rest early." Shen Yi, "Then let's go." She waved at Shen Baiji. "Goodbye. My little Baiji, I'll visit you again when I'm free. When you've healed, remember to bring Gu Chen home for dinner. Do you hear me?" Shen Baiji nodded. "Yes, I know." Then I saw Shen Yi pull me aside, acting mysterious as if she wanted to take something out. Shen Yi grabbed my hand and said, "Gu Chen, I didn't have time to prepare any gift, so let me give you this bracelet." As she spoke, she removed the jade bracelet from her wrist and was about to put it on my hand. Seeing this, I quickly refused. "Auntie, this gift is too precious. I cannot accept it." Shen Yi insisted. "Take it. You must take it." She pulled my hand and put it directly on me, not giving me a chance to decline. She turned to call Shen Changfeng. "Hubby, let's go." Then the two of them hurried away. I looked at the jade bracelet glowing with a soft green on my wrist, then looked at Shen Baiji and asked, "Baiji, what should I do now? This bracelet is so precious, I feel bad accepting it." Shen Baiji looked at the bracelet on my hand. Shen Yi had told her since she was very young that this bracelet was given to her mother by her grandmother, at the time when her mother and father first got together, and now her mother had passed that bracelet to me. Shen Baiji understood perfectly what her mother's intention was. Shen Baiji smiled. She stepped forward and led me upstairs. "If Mom gave it to you, then just accept it." Seeing Shen Baiji say that, I didn't hesitate anymore. Then I started thinking seriously that I should give Auntie a gift to show my gratitude. What should I give her? Shen Baiji looked at my thoughtful expression. She leaned close to my ear and whispered, "How about giving Mom a good son-in-law?" My face suddenly flashed red, turning as red as a ripe apple. I looked straight into Shen Baiji's eyes. "Baiji, what? What did you just say?" Shen Baiji knew perfectly well that I had heard clearly, but fearing rejection, she panicked slightly. She hurriedly said, "I said, let's go to bed early." Then with somewhat flustered steps, she rushed straight toward the bedroom. I stood there dazed, watching Shen Baiji's back, muttering to myself, why did she run away so fast? If a good son-in-law is the gift, then so be it. I never said I wouldn't agree.
After speaking, I quickened my pace to catch up with Shenbaizhi. As soon as I reached the bedroom door, Shenbaizhi suddenly stopped. I wasn't paying attention and kept charging forward, slamming quite painfully into her back. I grimaced, clutching my nose. Baizhi!
Did you do that on purpose? Shenbaizhi saw my expression and anxiously pulled my hand away. Gu-chen Oppa, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Does it hurt a lot? Let me see. Seeing her frantic expression, I suddenly burst out laughing. It's okay. Luckily, my nose isn't that easily broken. Otherwise, Beiji, you'd better prepare money for compensation. Shenbaizhi saw that I was still in the mood to joke, so she knew for sure I was fine. She breathed a small sigh of relief. Gu-chen Oppa, however much money you want, I'll pay it all. I narrowed my eyes slightly. Really? Shenbaizhi nodded instantly, very serious. I'm serious. I suddenly pulled Shenbaizhi into my arms, holding her waist tightly with both hands, then chuckled and asked, then how about compensating me with yourself? Shenbaizhi's whole body suddenly froze. Her face was full of shock. She looked up at me. Gu-chen Oppa, are you being serious? Gu-chen nodded firmly. Of course I'm serious. Why were you running so fast just now? I thought it over very carefully. I think what you said was right. Shenbaizhi was still dazed and didn't understand yet. Gu-chen Oppa is talking about. I smiled. About the gift for Auntie. I really couldn't think of a better gift for her. I think your idea is wonderful. Shenbaizhi was stunned by this sudden wave of happiness. For a moment she could only stand there in a daze, not knowing how she should react. I held Shenbaizhi in my arms and rocked her gently. Shenbaizhi, my dear, if I give you a gift, would you be willing to offer yourself to me in return? Shenbaizhi snapped out of it and hugged me tightly, burying her head in my chest. Brother Gu-chen, I am willing. I am willing. Everything I have is yours. Whatever you want, I will give it all to you. I happily embraced her. Shenbaizhi, my dear, I want you to be safe and sound. From now on, you must never let yourself get hurt again. Shenbaizhi tightened her grip on me. I won't, Brother Gu-chen. As long as you are by my side, I will always be okay. Hearing Shenbaizhi say that, I looked down at her. Yesterday, was it because of me that you hurt yourself? Shenbaizhi nodded slightly, then shook her head. It was all my fault, Brother Gu-chen. I'm sorry, I was just so terrified of losing you. I frowned. When I left the company yesterday, everything was fine, wasn't it? What were you thinking that made you so afraid of losing me? Shenbaizhi was like a child now, speaking with a hint of sulkiness. Yesterday, I saw that person calling you. Seeing my serious expression, she hurriedly explained, I didn't mean to snoop. I just wanted to bring the phone to you. When I saw the name in your contacts, I didn't dare touch it anymore. Then I saw that person send you another message. After you read it, you said you had to leave right away, and you didn't want me to take you back, so I thought, maybe you were gone and would never come back. I recalled what happened at her company yesterday, so that's why. When I said I wanted to have dinner with Shenbaizhi before leaving, I didn't answer then. If only I had told her about that call. I'm such a fool. Failing to notice Shenbaizhi's unstable mood at that moment, even rushing off immediately after checking the message. If I had been a bit more observant then, I might have seen how heartbroken she was, and Shenbaizhi wouldn't have hurt herself, enduring such terrible pain. I cried out in heartache. You silly girl, how could that ever happen? I'm going to cling to you for the rest of my life. I'm very high maintenance. Shenbaizhi, you'll have to make a lot of money to support me. In my heart, I made a silent vow. I must give Shenbaizhi a greater sense of security and care for her even more, so she never has to fear being abandoned again. Shenbaizhi nodded. Yes, I will definitely make lots of money to raise my brother Gu-chen to be healthy and pampered. I pouted as if in disagreement. I don't want that. If I get fat, I won't be handsome anymore. By then, I'm sure you won't like me anymore. Shenbaizhi held me tight. Never. Brother Gu-chen, I will love you no matter what you look like. I suddenly felt very curious in my memory with Shenbaizhi. There wasn't much connection in either my past or present life. Every encounter after my rebirth was initiated by me. I often worried that the current Shenbaizhi might not love me. So when did she start liking me? I asked aloud, Shenbaizhi, when did you start liking me? Shenbaizhi's gaze suddenly turned distant. She recalled the image of Gu-chen as a child, that soft and adorable look he had. She smiled. Since a very, very long time ago. I frowned slightly. A very long time ago. You've known me since then, but I don't remember any of it. Shenbaizhi gave a soft laugh. It's enough that I remember. I suddenly yawned. Seeing this, Shenbaizhi asked, Are you sleepy? I nodded. A little bit. In her heart, Shenbaizhi really wanted to sleep with me. Where I was concerned, she never had any self-control. She was afraid she'd get too excited and lose control today. Brother Gu-chen had just agreed to be with her. If she did something impulsive and scared him off, it would be too late for regrets. To be safe, it was better to sleep separately. She held me, intending to head out, forcing herself to let me sleep in the room next door. "Let me take you to your room. Take a bath and get some sleep early," I asked blankly. "Oh, we're not sleeping together?"
I grabbed Shenbeiji's hand and sat flat on the floor. "I don't want to. I absolutely have to sleep here." Shenbaiji laughed helplessly. "All right then, Brother Guchen can sleep here. Go take a bath now." I didn't expect Shenbaiji to agree so quickly, so I happily jumped up and dashed off to bathe first. Shenbaiji watched me enter the bathroom. Hearing the sound of running water from within, her mind suddenly began to run wild with imagination. Feeling she couldn't stay there a moment longer, she turned and left for the room next door. I finished bathing very quickly, intending to tell Shenbaiji it was her turn, drying my hair as I walked. I glanced around the room, but she was nowhere to be found. I frowned slightly. Where did she go? Could she have gone to sleep in the other room? I opened the door and went to knock on the next door. "Shenbaiji, open the door for me." After waiting a while with no answer, I tried the handle. It wasn't locked. Lucky me. I stealthily opened the door, peeking inside and looking around. Still no sign of Shenbaiji. Going further in, I heard water running in the bathroom. Turns out she came to this room to bathe, but her wound shouldn't touch water. Something like this will surely get it all wet. I sat on the bed, waiting for Shenbaiji to finish so I could change her bandage. After waiting a long time and she still hadn't come out, I started to worry. Why isn't she done yet? I walked to the bathroom door. Just as I was about to knock, Shenbaiji opened the door and stepped out. Seeing that Shenbaiji was finally finished, I breathed a sigh of relief and called softly, "Shenbaiji." My eyes unconsciously began to travel slowly over her body, from her face to her neck and sliding further down. I only saw Shenbaiji only had a bath towel loosely wrapped around her. Droplets of water from her bath still hadn't been dried. Playful droplets rolled down from her chest, passing through that deep cleavage before gradually disappearing. No matter how many years I had lived, I had never witnessed such a sultry sight. I stared at Shenbeiji's body, hardly daring to blink, thinking to myself, this woman's figure is just too perfect. That waist, those hips. My hands suddenly felt itchy, wanting to reach out and touch. Shenbaiji, having just opened the door, saw me gazing at her without looking away and felt a bit amused. It seems Brother Guchen is quite satisfied with my figure. She leaned in close to me, whispering seductively, "If Brother Guchen wants to touch me, it's not impossible, you know." I was still staring blankly, fingers twitching slightly, not even noticing Shenbeiji's expression as I blurted out, "Really?" Shenbaiji tried her best to hold back her laughter, but in the end, my adorable face made her burst into laughter. She said through her laughter, "Truly, my entire self belongs to Brother Guchen." I immediately snapped back to reality, my face turning bright red. "Shenbaiji, you're teasing me." Shenbaiji curved her lips slightly. "Brother Guchen, everything I said was from the heart. I pretended to be cross and ran away with a flushed face. Humph, I'm ignoring you. You're too much." Shenbaiji watched my retreating back tenderly. She loved my current playful and lively side, so different from before, when I always kept my distance and wouldn't let her near. Once Shenbaiji was dressed, she planned to find me in the next room. As she opened the door, I happened to be coming back at the same time, and our eyes met. I said with a bit of bashfulness, "Come here, let me help you change your bandage. I saw it got all wet earlier." Shenbaiji smiled, obediently nodding. She then followed me back to the bedroom, sitting neatly on the edge of the bed, watching me with a very serious expression as I carefully applied the medicine. I looked at Shenbeiji's wound, which had been soaked in water and was starting to turn a bit pale, and asked, heart-stricken, "Does it hurt?" I gently told her, "Tell me if I am hurting you, okay?" Shenbaiji replied, "It doesn't hurt. If Brother Guchen blows on it once, the pain will go away." My movements were incredibly gentle, fearing I might accidentally cause her pain. "Fine. Let me blow on it for you." While applying the medicine, I gently blew on her wound. Shenbaiji watched my lips as I kept blowing. She softly swallowed. "Brother Guchen, can I kiss you once?" I was stunned. "Huh, Shenbaiji, you." Shenbaiji also seemed to feel this sudden request was a bit abrupt. Thinking I didn't want to, she didn't want to pressure me and consoled. "It's okay. I was just asking, if you don't like it." She said it was fine, but her voice grew increasingly sad. Not wanting me to notice her disappointment, she looked down. But in truth, I was thinking, you silly girl, why you need to ask permission for a kiss? Wouldn't it be better just to kiss me directly? How am I supposed to answer that? It's embarrassing. Never mind, I'll just use actions to give her the answer. I leaned forward, cupping Shenbeiji's face, closed my eyes, and placed a kiss on her lips. Shenbeiji's eyes widened instantly, her gaze filled with utter shock. Is Brother Guchen kissing her? It turns out Brother Guchen really is willing. In her extreme joy, Shenbeiji forgot to react. I had never kissed anyone before, so I just pressed my lips against hers for a long time, not knowing what the next step should be.
Shenbeiger just let me keep kissing her, but holding this position too long made me feel sore, and I was holding my breath too. Even though Shenbeiji's lips were so soft that I loved it, I couldn't take it anymore. If this continued, it'd probably suffocate. I quickly backed away, leaving her lips. I took a few deep breaths of fresh air and said to her sheepishly, "Shenbeiji, please don't ask me like that next time. You can kiss me whenever you want. Asking like that just makes me embarrassed." Just as I finished, my lips were captured once again. This time it was my turn to be stunned, not expecting Shenbeiji to be so proactive. Shenbeiji held my waist tightly, her eyes closed, her kiss incredibly deep and passionate. My emotions were led by hers. I closed my eyes and clumsily returned the kiss. After a while, my face was completely flushed. I couldn't tell if it was the sensation of the kiss, or because I didn't know how to breathe and was suffocating. Shenbeiji felt the person before her constantly holding his breath, feeling that her brother Guchen was adorably foolish, not even knowing how to take a breath while kissing. Afraid I would suffocate, she finally let me go. Shenbeiji panted slightly, resting her forehead against mine, her fresh breath brushing against my face. She spoke up. "Darling, you still have to breathe while kissing. What if you suffocate by holding your breath like this?" Hearing the way Shenbeiji called me, she just called me darling. Furthermore, her voice was so sweet and gentle now. I had never heard this tone from her before, and having her discover I didn't know how to breathe, I felt even more ashamed. I immediately buried my head in the crook of her neck, speaking whiningly. "Well, it's because no one ever taught me. I really don't know how." Shenbeiji held my head, pulling me away from her neck, gazing at me dotingly. "If Brother Guchen doesn't know, then let me teach you." I asked blankly, "Teach me how?" Shenbeiger gave a slight smile, whispering in my ear, "From now on, well, just kiss a few more times every day, and I'll definitely be able to teach you." I protested, "Shenbeiger, how come you knew what to do right away, and were even so skilled at it?" Shenbeiger answered with a look of pride, "Because I'm smart and self-taught." I thought to myself, so this is her way of subtly saying I'm stupid? Did you secretly kiss someone else? I knew full well Shenbeiger had never kissed anyone else. I was just teasing her on purpose. Shenbeiger quickly tried to prove her innocence. "Brother Guchen, I swear, I will never kiss anyone but you. If I ever touch another man, then I quickly covered her mouth with my hand, stopping her from saying those unlucky things. "Don't say such things." "I believe you. I always believe you. I just said that on purpose, just to tease you a bit." Shenbeiji hugged me. It's enough that Brother Guchen believes me. I leaned my head against Shenbeiji while she wrapped her arms around me. The two of us stayed in that position. A moment later, fearing that if Shenbeiji held me for too long, her wound would hurt, I stood up. Drowsy with sleep, I said, "I'm so sleepy. Shenbeiji, let's go to sleep." Shenbeiji was a bit reluctant to let go, feeling she could just keep holding me like this forever. But then she thought, since the two of them were sharing a bed anyway, falling asleep while holding Brother Guchen would be even better. So she let me lie down on the bed, carefully tucked me in, and then lay down beside me herself. As soon as she lay down, Shenbeiji moved close to me, wrapped her arms around me, found the most comfortable position, and fell asleep. I also closed my eyes and was soon fast asleep. But before long, Shenbeiji suddenly fell into a dream. Sweat broke out on her forehead, her eyebrows knit tightly together, and she kept calling out, "Brother Guchen, Brother Guchen." In her dream, Shenbeiji saw me bound tightly by iron chains. Inside a vast underground cellar, fire raged everywhere around, the flames about to reach where I was standing. My face was pale, devoid of any color. She wanted to rush forward to unchain me, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't reach me, grasping only at empty air every time. Finally, the fierce flames engulfed me, and she could only watch helplessly as I writhed in agony within the sea of fire, unable to do anything at all. "No, don't." Shenbeiji woke up with a start from the nightmare, screaming in terror at what she had just seen in her dream. She sat bolt upright in bed, her mind still filled with images of me writhing in the fire. Her eyes were vacant, her whole being radiating collapse and panic. Hearing Shenbeiji's scream, I was also jolted awake. I sat up and saw Shenbeiji dazed as if she had lost her soul, and gently reached out to wipe the sweat from her face. Then I held her, softly patting her back. "Shenbeiji, don't be afraid. Did you just have a nightmare? Dreams are all fake. It's okay. Everything is fine now." Hearing my voice, it took a long time for Shenbeiji to regain her composure. Thank goodness it was just a dream. She hugged me tightly. "Brother Guchen, I was so scared. Scared that something bad would happen to you. Scared that I wouldn't be able to protect you." I comforted her tenderly. "It won't happen. Trust you. I know you'll protect me well. Besides, your brother Guchen is quite powerful too, you know. You'll gradually find out later." Shenbeiji nodded slightly. "I know, Brother Guchen is always amazing. I gently helped Shen Baizi lie down, carefully covered her with the blanket, then slipped under the covers myself. I pulled Shen Baizi into my arms, one hand reaching up to gently caress her face. Looking at Shen Baizi, I said softly, "Go to sleep now. I'll always be here by your side." Shen Baizi nodded. She didn't close her eyes, nor did she say a word. She just held me tightly. She gazed at me longingly, as if fearing that if she fell asleep, I would disappear. Seeing that Shen Baizi didn't want to sleep yet, I started a conversation with her. "Can you tell me what you dreamed about?" Shen Baizi recalled the recent nightmare. Her brows furrowed as she began to tell. "I dreamed you were in a dark cellar, your whole body bound tight by iron chains. A huge fire was surrounding you. I really wanted to save you, but I just couldn't do it." Listening to Shen Baizi describe that dream, the underground cellar, the iron chains, it really was somewhat similar to the scene of my death in my past life. But why did Shen Baizi suddenly dream of a scene exactly like my previous life? Don't they say dreams are usually the opposite of reality? Something that terrible definitely won't happen. Not wanting Shen Baizi to keep dwelling on those negative thoughts, I leaned in and gave her a light kiss on the lips as soon as I finished speaking. But it was just a fleeting kiss, like a dragonfly skimming water, and then I pulled away. I softly pursed my lips. The feeling was truly wonderful. It seems I'm growing increasingly fond of kissing Shen Baizi. My light kiss just now didn't seem to be nearly enough for Shen Baizi. She looked at me and called softly, "Brother Gu Chen." I looked at Shen Baizi, her eyes sparkling like stars in the night. I smiled back, yes, in listening.
Shen Baizi suddenly turned over, leaned down to cut my face, and slowly pressed her lips against mine. Sensing that Shen Baiji's kiss was very urgent and intense, I also lifted my head, trying my best to respond to her. Gradually, the atmosphere around both of us began to heat up. Shen Baiji's hot hands slid gently over my body. I started to feel a distinct change within my body. Just as things were about to spiral out of control, my hand accidentally touched Shen Baiji's chest, right on her wound. Feeling my palm grow slightly damp, my reason immediately snapped back. Oh no, this is bad. Shen Baiji's wound is bleeding again. My heart was instantly filled with relentless worry. I hurriedly pushed Shen Baiji away gently, stopping her from taking things any further. Because I was so flustered, my voice suddenly became choked. "Shen Baiji, has your wound opened up again?"
Get up and turn on the light so I can check. Shen Baiji. One moment her mind was filled with thoughts of me, but upon hearing my voice, which was worried to the point of tears, the next moment she began to silently blame herself for being too impulsive. "Brother Gu Chen, please don't worry, I'm okay." Shen Baiji buried her head in my shoulder, trying to steady her own breathing. After a while, she sat up and reached out to turn on the warm nightlight on the nightstand. I hurriedly checked the condition of Shen Baiji's wound, and sure enough, blood had started to seep from the injury. I scrambled to find my phone. "Let me call Dr. Lin. I'll ask her to come over and check on you." Shen Baiji quickly held my hand. "Brother Gu Chen, there's no need. It's so late. Don't make Lin Mudao come all the way here in the middle of the night. I know my own body. I'm okay. You just need to help me reapply the medicine and bandage it again. Wait for me for a moment then." Saying so, I jumped out of bed to get the first aid kit. I helped Shen Baiji clean her wound, feeling a deep ache just looking at it. In fact, this woman seemed not to feel any pain at all. She didn't let out a single cry of pain. On the contrary, as I finished applying the medicine and was bandaging her, my useless tears couldn't help but fall. Seeing me cry, Shen Baiji suddenly became extremely flustered. She reached out to wipe the tears from my face. "Brother Gu Chen, please don't cry. It really doesn't hurt at all. It just looks a bit scary." I gave a small sniffle. "You're not allowed to be so reckless from now on. How will the wound ever heal if things continue like this?" Shen Baiji smiled tenderly. "Yes, I'll listen to everything you say. Brother, please stop crying. Go to sleep now. If we stay awake like this, the sun will be up soon." I nodded slightly. "All right." So both of us lay down in bed again, holding each other as we drifted into deep sleep. The next morning, I was woken up by the ringing of my phone. Still half asleep, I frowned in annoyance and buried my head deep under the covers, not bothering to see who was calling. Shen Baiji sat up and took my phone, seeing the name Gu Xiang displayed on the screen. Shen Baiji knew Gu Xiang held a very important place in my heart, but she also knew very well what Gu Xiang's true nature was really like. Fearful that saying bad things about him would make me sad, she had kept it all to herself until now. While she was hesitating over whether to tell me that it was a call from Gu Xiang, I asked with my eyes closed, "Who's calling, dear?" Shen Baiji answered me, "It's Gu Xiang." Then she prepared to hand me the phone to answer. But unexpectedly, it seemed I didn't care at all about Gu Xiang calling. I mumbled, "Disturbing me so early, it's so noisy, am not answering." Saying that, I intended to hold Shen Baiji and go back to sleep. However, the person on the other end of the line was determined not to let go, refusing to give me even a chance to rest. A moment later, the phone rang again. It seemed like they wouldn't give up today until I answered. I irritably sat up from the bed. I snatched the phone from Shen Beiji's hand and pressed the answer button. I barked irritably, "Gu Xiang, what on earth are you doing? This better be something important." Gu Xiang heard my impatient tone, but he still said nonchalantly, "Brother." And right here at the gate of Shen Beiji's village. I was even more speechless after hearing that. Why on earth is he bothering Beiji and me so early in the morning? What are you doing here? I only heard Gu Xiang say, 2 days ago, you rushed out of the house in such a hurry. It's been so long and you still haven't come home. It took a lot of effort to find out that you were here, brother, and so worried about you. And you tell them to let me in. The people at the gate keep blocking me and won't let me enter. I didn't want to see Gu Xiang, and I certainly didn't want him to see Shen Baizi. Deep down, I knew exactly what he was up to. Gu Xiang says he's worried about me, but in reality, he wants to use this chance to get close to Baizi. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here so early in the morning, under the guise of caring for me. Looking at Shen Baizi, I curled my lips slightly and said to Gu Xiang on the other end of the line, "I'm busy right now, just go home." I hung up immediately after saying that. I didn't want to hear another word of Gu Xiang's nonsense. Seeing me hang up, Shen Baizi asked, "Did he come to find you?" I nodded. That's right, waking us up so early in the morning.
He's so annoying, isn't he, dear? Shen Baizi nodded in total agreement. Anyone Brother Gu Chen doesn't like, I can't stand either. I burst out laughing, a hearty laugh, gently poked her beautiful face, and teased, "Baiji, if you acted like this in ancient times, you'd definitely be a foolish tyrant." Shen Baiji smiled, then she threw herself into my arms. She looked up at me and said, "As long as I can be with you, I'm willing to be a foolish tyrant. It's just that Brother Gu Chen's looks are too captivating." Looking down at Shen Baiji, I laughed, indeed, a true foolish tyrant. Baiji raised her eyebrows. Well, if I don't do what a tyrant does, it would be a waste of this title. She gently tilted my chin up, preparing to lean in for a kiss. But instead of landing on my lips, the kiss landed on the back of my hand. I covered my mouth, preventing Baiji from kissing me. No kissing. Baiji's face immediately fell. She frowned at me. She looked at me with a pained expression. She asked, "Why won't you let me kiss you?" I kept my mouth covered. I replied, "Because I haven't even brushed my teeth yet." Baiji didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I don't mind that. Or is Brother Gu Chen disgusted because I haven't brushed mine yet? Without hesitation, I shook my head vigorously. No, not at all. Baiji didn't let me finish. One hand swiped away my hand that was covering my mouth. The other hand gently squeezed my chin and planted a kiss. I was completely taken by surprise. My eyes went wide, and I pursed my lips tight. I quickly pulled away and pushed Baiji back. With a bright red face, I called her name. "Shen Baiji!" Then I scrambled to get up and out of bed. Baiji watched my clumsy attempt to climb down from the bed, and watched me dash into the bathroom. To her, I was just too adorable. She couldn't stop laughing at my reaction, but she also worried I might fall in my haste. She quickly called out, "Be careful, don't fall." Baiju also got out of bed and followed me closely into the bathroom. I was standing in front of the sink brushing my teeth, when Baiju suddenly hugged me from behind. I looked into the mirror and saw Baiju leaning against me. I gave her a sharp glare through the mirror. Mumbling through the phone while brushing, "Baiju, you're breaking the rules. I said I hadn't brushed yet, but you still insisted on a kiss." Baiju hugged me and muzzled her head into my back. She whispered softly, "But Brother Gu Chen is so sweet." My face turned bright red. This Baiju. How has she become so smooth with sweet words lately? It makes me completely unable to resist. Where did the cold and arrogant Baiju of the past go? I squirmed slightly. "Hurry up and wash your face." Finished brushing, I rubbed my stomach and said, "I'm so hungry." Baiju immediately sped up. She quickly finished and took my hand. Let's go. Let's go downstairs for breakfast." Just as the two of us stepped out of the room, it sounded like people were arguing. Both Baiju and I found it strange. We glanced at each other and walked straight downstairs together. Logically speaking, the staff would never dare to make such a noise in the house. It shouldn't be this loud. I had a pretty good guess of what was happening. Baiju probably knew all too well exactly who was causing trouble down there. As we reached the middle of the staircase, I saw Gu Xiang right at the main gate. He was being pinned down by two burly security guards. He was screaming incessantly. I heard Gu Xiang shouting, "I am Gu Chen's brother. Let me in immediately. I know your CEO Shen personally. Watch out or I'll make sure you face the consequences. You're all just gatekeeping dogs. How dare you be so rude to me?" The words coming out of his mouth became more and more unpleasant to hear. But no matter what Gu Xiang said, the two guards at the gate didn't flinch. With cold expressions, they blocked him firmly, not letting him take a single step forward. I silently marveled in my heart. The people chosen by Baiji are indeed different.
Every time Gu Xiang tried to charge in, they grabbed him tight, leaving him unable to move an inch. I looked at the state of him. Gu Xiang was throwing a tantrum and making a scene at the gate. He was so different from his usual self. There wasn't a trace of his well-behaved, gentle image left. After watching for a while, I really couldn't stand his loud shouting anymore. It was excessively noisy. Standing on the stairs, I covered my ears and barked out. Gu Xiang heard my voice and went silent immediately. He struggled to get the two guards to let go. He rubbed his arms that had just been held tight.
His expression changed in the blink of an eye. He looked up at me and Baiji standing beside me. He said in a pitiful voice, "Brother, look, this is how they dare to treat me. My whole body hurts now." After saying those words, Gu Xiang didn't forget to sneak a glance at Baiji. Then he lowered his head with an embarrassed expression. I caught every single one of his actions. I curled my lips slightly, laughing sarcastically. I linked arms with Baiji as if to claim ownership. "How dare you fantasize about my woman? Keep dreaming." Suddenly, I felt so narrow-minded, petty. So petty that if another man even looks at Baiji like that, I find it completely unacceptable. Even though I know the person Baiji loves the most is me, I'm still selfish enough to not want anyone else to look at her. Thinking that, I felt just linking arms wasn't enough. I let go and directly pulled Baiji into a hug, letting her head rest against my chest. I intentionally ignored Gu Xiang and turned to praise Baiji instead, about the two guards who stopped Xiang at the gate. "Baiji, those two guards are really impressive. You can tell they're well-trained and very strong." Hearing that, Baiji replied proudly, "I'm much better than them." I could smell the sour scent of jealousy in the air. Thinking to myself, why is Baiji acting just like a child? She's my woman, so what else can I do? Coax her, of course. I said exaggeratedly, "Of course. My Baiji is the absolute best. No one can even come close to you." Baiji is the most easily moved by Gu Chen's sweet word. I only need to coax her a little bit, and her heart is filled with wordless joy. In a cheerful mood, she led me to the dining table to have breakfast together. She even thoughtfully pulled out a chair for me. Only then did she sit down beside me, scooping a bowl of piping hot porridge for me. The two of us acted as if only the other existed, completely forgetting that Gu Xiang was still blocked outside. Gu Xiang gazed in from the gate and called out, "Brother, I traveled all the way to find you so early. I haven't even had breakfast yet." I pretended to ask, "And?" Gu Xiang looked at me, then looked over at Baiji. He said expectantly, "Can I sit and have breakfast with you and Sister Baiji?" I picked up the spoon, gently stirring the bowl of porridge in front of me. Hearing the words Sister Baiji from Xiang's mouth, I gave a cold snort. "Who did you say you wanted to have breakfast with?" Gu Xiang didn't understand why I was asking that question. Hadn't he just said it? Besides, only the few of them were here. Who else could he be eating with? Gu Xiang looked up and answered me, "Well, obviously with you and Sister Baiji." I laughed at his brazenness and stupidity. I raised an eyebrow and looked straight at Gu Xiang. "Who do you think you are to call her Sister Baiji?" Gu Xiang was indignant. He dared to ask back, "You called her that just now. Why can't I call her that too?" I slammed the spoon down. The spoon hit the bowl with a sharp clink. With a freezing expression, I said, "There's no why. If I say you can't, then you can't." Baiji sat beside me, looking at me with eyes full of admiration. She had never seen me like this before. Becoming so strong just because of how someone else addressed her, she found this very interesting. Gu Xiang pretended to be weak again and said, "Baiji hasn't even said anything yet. Don't you think you're bullying me?" After saying that, he even tried to squeeze out a few tears. His whole body trembled with grievance, sobbing repeatedly. Then he fake-wiped those tears away. I watched Gu Xiang's performance, thinking it's a waste of talent if he doesn't go into acting. He can have tears on command. Rolled my eyes mentally. Isn't it just acting? Do you think you're the only one who can act? I immediately burst into exaggerated tears. I threw myself into Baiju's arms and wailed, "Baiji, do you also think I'm bullying him?" "Boo-hoo, I just don't like others calling you that. Did I do something wrong?" With every sentence, I tried to force out more sobbing sounds. But honestly, faking tears is not easy at all. I couldn't squeeze out a single teardrop. No matter how hard I tried, nothing rolled down my cheeks. Shen Baiji watched Gu Chen making a seam in her arms, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Well, since he was acting, she would just play along with him. Baiji leaned slightly to let my head peek out a bit, fearing I'd bury my face too deep and suffocate. Seeing there wasn't a single tear on Gu Chen's face, she found it even more amusing. My brother Gu Chen really is a true actor. It's just that his acting skills are a bit problematic. Everything brother Gu Chen does is right. But your brother says you're bullying him. After saying that, I gave Gu Xiang a very pitiful glance, as if I had truly done something very wrong. Acting so scared, I didn't dare look anyone in the eye. Baiji replied, "No, not at all. I think brother Gu Chen did exactly the right thing. As long as you're not the one being bullied, it's fine. You can bully whoever you want."
Then she affectionately stroked my head. Held by Beiji, my face immediately lit up like a blooming flower. The speed at which I changed faces left Gu Xiang stunned. Beiji, you're so good to me. I nuzzled into her arms coquettishly. Then I turned my head and gave Xiang a triumphant smile. Gu Xiang saw my exaggerated performance and noticed that Beiji didn't seem annoyed or bothered at all. He thought to himself, so she likes this type of person. It was as if he had found a master key and believed he was one step closer to success. He didn't know that Baiju simply loved the way I talked. No matter how I acted, she would still love me unconditionally. Before, he'd only heard rumors of Shen Baiju's cold temperament and her ruthless methods that terrified everyone. But today, he witnessed a Baiju who was so gentle with me, and also extremely tolerant and pampering towards me. Who wouldn't want such an amazing woman? Gu Xiang naturally craved her even more. Xiang immediately imitated me, saying in a weak voice, "Brother, can you let me inside first? I've been standing for so long. My legs are getting so tired." I really thought Gu Xiang's skin was thicker than anyone else's. He still hadn't given up on the idea of stepping through the gate. Then you have to ask Baiju. This is her house after all. Gu Xiang looked at Baiju with hopeful eyes and asked, "Baiju, could you tell them to stop blocking me?" Baiju didn't pay the slightest bit of attention to Xiang, as if he didn't even exist. She tilted my chin up and corrected my previous words. "This is our house." I looked at Baiju's serious face and smiled slightly. Seeing I was about to speak, Baiju looked up towards the gate. Her face was cold, without a hint of warmth. At this moment, Baiju felt that she shouldn't waste time on someone like Gu Xiang. It was time to end things here. Gu Xiang saw that Baiju was finally looking at him. He hurriedly smoothed his bangs and flusteredly called out, "Baiju, Baiju." Use a cold voice to cut off whatever Xiang was about to say next. "If you dare to call me that one more time, watch your tongue." Then she glanced at the two guards at the gate and said indifferently, "What am I paying you for? If you can't do this job properly, I can replace you at any time." Hearing that, the two guards immediately grabbed Gu Xiang and dragged him away and threw him straight out. Fearing he would disturb the people inside, they even thoughtfully covered his mouth tight. Gu Xiang was thus tossed out of Baiju's villa compound. With his mouth covered, he could only mumble and groan the whole way, unable to utter a single word. Watching Xiang being dragged away, I couldn't contain my joy. It was like watching a great movie. I watched excitedly until Xiang disappeared from sight. Even when he was gone, I still tried to peer outside. Baiju gently turned my head back. "Is it that fun?" "Yes, it's very fun. I've never seen him look so pathetic." Ha ha ha. Baiju wondered, "Brother Gu Chen, wasn't your relationship with this brother very good before? How did it come to this?" I lowered my eyes. My mood suddenly became somber. I said, "I did many things wrong in the past, and I misjudged too many people. Now I understand everything. Thinking back on the past, I feel the person I wronged the most was Shen Beiji, but she always gave me all her love. Beiji, in this world, you are the only one who treats me best. I promise from now on, I will always be good and listen to you." Beiji didn't want to see any trace of sadness on my face. She immediately scooped a spoonful of porridge and fed it to me. "Then, Brother Gu Chen, please listen to me now. Hurry up and eat breakfast. Be good and open up, the porridge is getting cold." I nodded obediently. "Okay." Opening my mouth to eat the porridge Beiji fed me. "Beiji, you should eat too. Take a bite, please." Beiji took a bite herself, then continued to feed me. Like that, the two of us took turns finishing breakfast. After being kicked out, Gu Xiang harbored a grudge and had nowhere to vent it. He blamed all the humiliation he suffered today entirely on me. Recalling my attitude lately, he clearly realized that I had changed. He got in his car and called Su Qin. When she picked up, he just said briefly, "Meet at the usual place." Then he sped off. In the large hotel room, on the carpet, on the sofa, men's and women's clothes were scattered everywhere. On the pure white bed, Su Qin, wrapped only in a towel, leaned against the headboard. She held a cigarette, took a few puffs, and blew out rings of smoke. The hazy smoke made it hard to see her expression. Gu Xiang lay in Su Qin's arms. "Sister Su, I went to see my brother today. He's really changed. What do you think? Is it possible he's found out about us?" Su Qin took another puff, briefly searching her memory. "We probably haven't left any clues." Gu Xiang continued, "Now that he's clinging to Shen Beiji, he doesn't even bother coming home. I can't even get a glimpse of him all day." Su Qin asked, "So today you went all the way to Shen Beiji's house to find him?" Gu Xiang nodded, "Yes." Su Qin's face hardened. "How did their relationship seem to you?" Thinking of the scene between the two this morning, a flash of envy appeared in Xiang's eyes. He said coldly, "Shen Beiji seems to treat him very well. I knew from the start that Beiji felt differently about Gu Chen. We tried to keep them apart. Gu Chen listened to me back then, had avoided her the moment he saw her. I don't know why he suddenly stopped being afraid of her, and instead started actively approaching Shen Beiji." While listening to Xiang, Su Qin was calculating her next move. Gu Ziang looked up and asked, Sister Su, what do you think we should do now? Su Qin wore a sharp smile. She crushed her cigarette out in the ashtray. With calculating eyes, no need to panic. If we can't see him, well, create an opportunity. Isn't the third-year term about to start? There must be a gathering before school starts. In a few days, we'll arrange a party with classmates. He'll definitely show up. We just need to have everything ready by then, ensuring not a single mistake is made. Let's see if Shen Beizi, the grand CEO of Shen's group, can accept a man who has already slept with someone else. Gu Ziang didn't expect Su Qin to come up with such a malicious plan. He was truly looking forward to witnessing that scene. Sister Su, I'm completely with you. With that, Gu Ziang began to stroke Su Qin's body, looking at her with lustful eyes. Su Qin grabbed Ziang's hand that was wandering over her. She chuckled softly, baby, you're so good, and flipped over, pulling the blanket over both of them, cutting them off from the outside world. In the spacious room, only the sounds of the couple's laughter remained. Then the sounds gradually became blurred and suggestive. Inside Shen Beiji's villa, in a corner of the garden filled with sunflowers, Beiji and I sat together on a swing. A light breeze swayed the sea of golden flower. I gently pushed the swing with my feet, swaying in a spontaneous rhythm. Beiji, usually people plant roses or other flowers. Why did you plant such a large field of sunflower? Beiji replied, does brother Gu Chen like? I nodded slightly, with a bright smile at Beiji. I love them very much. Beiji said, it's good that you like. During the time you weren't by my side, whenever I was free, I'd sit in the garden for a long time. I always feel that when I look at these flowers, it's like you're right here with me. I asked, why? Do I look like a sunflower to you? Beiji smiled, because brother Gu Chen is my little sun, the light that illuminates my life. I hugged Beiji and promised, from now on, I will stay with you forever. Baiji's lips parted slightly. She wanted to say something but hesitated, unsure she should speak. Finally, she gathered her courage and asked, brother Gu Chen, could you come and live with me? After asking, she clenched her hands tight. Even her breathing became soft and cautious. Her whole body showed signs of anxiety and nervousness. If it's inconvenient, that's okay. I can just come to find you off. Before Baiji could even finish, she heard a clear response. Of course. I continued. Baiji, I've wanted to live with you all along. At first, I was afraid you wouldn't agree, so I was still thinking of a reason to make you accept immediately. I didn't expect you to be the one to ask first. I'm truly so happy. Baiji had been certain that I would refuse, so when she heard my answer, her eyes lit up with radiant happiness. She seemed both surprised and excited. Baiji seemingly couldn't wait any longer. Then, in a little while, I'll have people move all your things here, okay? No need for that trouble. I'll go back myself in a bit. I'll get some essentials and come right back, Baiji. I'll go with you, okay? I didn't agree to let her come along, but fearing she would pout by herself, I patiently coaxed. Your wound hasn't fully healed yet. You must rest well to recover quickly. I'll go and be back very soon. Don't worry. But seeing Baiji still looking down sadly, she didn't react at all to my grumpy expression. I thought to myself, this woman is really hard to coax. There's no other way. I just have to spoil her. I leaned close to her ear. A faint smile played at the corners of my mouth. I whispered, you need to nourish yourself and get healthy again quickly. After that, you can have whatever you want. Shen Beiji's eyes suddenly widened. She sat up abruptly. She looked at me with a face full of surprise mixed with joy. Do you mean Gu Chen? The smile remained on my face. I leaned in close to look at Shen Beiji, whispering, it's exactly what you're thinking, little Beiji. So, will you be a good girl and wait for me at home? Yes. Shen Beiji agreed immediately without a hint of hesitation. It's only for a short while after all. It's fine if I can't see Gu Chen for a little bit. She can wait, since they'll be together every day from now on anyway. Thinking of this, her mood suddenly brightened up. Earlier, when I went to Shen Beiji's place, I had driven there myself. After getting in the car, I rolled down the window. After getting. I'll be back soon. Be a good girl and wait for me at home. And most importantly, make sure to miss me. Shen Beiji broke into a radiant smile. I know, drive safely. I grinned and said, don't worry. After saying goodbye to Shen Beiji, I added, wait for me to have dinner together. I expertly started the car and drove away. If I didn't leave now, I was afraid I wouldn't want to leave at all today. Shen Beiji stood still watching my car until it disappeared. Only when she could no longer see my car did she turn back into the house. Returning to the bedroom, she took a look around. She had grown so used to my presence. Now that I had just left, the room felt unusually empty today. It was so quiet she could clearly hear her own breathing. We've only just parted and I already miss him. She instinctively shook her head and smiled helplessly. Gu Chen will be living here from now on. She thought she should renovate their home properly, so that Gu Chen can live as comfortably as possible. Shen Beiji never procrastinated or dawdled when it came to tasks. To think was to act immediately. She took out her phone and called Wen Xiao. As President Shen's close assistant, Wen Xiao was still working hard at the company. During the 2 days, Shen Beiji was resting. Even more work had piled up on her shoulders. Seeing her director calling suddenly, out of her high sense of duty, she answered immediately. President Shen, do you have any instructions? Shen Beiji arranged a bunch of tasks completely unrelated to the company, telling her to pick out the kind of curtains guys like, to buy bed sheets and duvet covers in colors that guys prefer, and to buy a bunch of plushies too, basically. Anything a guy would like. Whatever she saw, she had to buy it all. Wen Xiao couldn't understand it. Why she was suddenly being made to buy so many things that guys like. She didn't dare to ask, she was just thinking to herself. Then she heard Shen Beiji say, come early and there's a bonus, but come late and I'll dock your pay. With that, she hung up. Wen Xiao was angry but didn't dare say a word, always threatening me with my salary. But unfortunately, that was the threat she feared most. She could only blame Shen Beiji for paying so handsomely. Wen Xiao didn't dare delay and rushed off to buy the items. A moment later, the phone rang again. Seeing it was still Shen Beiji, she answered while running. My dear President Shen, what else is there? Buy all the latest seasonal collections for men, from the famous brands that guys like. Wen Xiao knew it. Shen Beiji would only say, things that guys like. Her ears were practically callous from hearing it so much. Did her president know any words other than guys like to say? But anyway, why buy? So many men's things to keep at home. Wen Xiao's efficiency was very high. Good enough, she had bought everything and brought it to Shen Beiji's villa. No exaggeration. It took a whole truck just to transport the clothes. And there were other vehicles too, full of items that guys favor. Wen Xiao stood aside, directing the delivery people. One by one, the items were carried inside. She even had the selected curtains replaced. The bed sheets and duvet covers were dry cleaned and dried. The household staff was told to change everything. Inside the bedroom was filled with all sorts of cute stuffed animals. Wen Xiao excitedly took. I thought this gaming set was great, so I bought it. I'm sure a guy would love it. The space is also very wide. It can display many anime figures. Shen Beiji nodded in satisfaction. Very good. I didn't expect a single person like you to understand men's tastes so well. Wen Xiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Was President Shen praising her or mocking her? Well, she'd just take it as a compliment. In an instant, the style of Shen Beiji's bedroom had completely changed. Before, it was all black and white and monotonous shades of gray. Now it was full of vibrant colors. The whole room suddenly became bright and full of life. Seeing that Shen Beiji's mood seemed good, Wen Xiao couldn't help but ask a few curious questions. President Shen, you've decorated the room like this. A single person like you wouldn't understand. Shen Beiji smiled slightly. She spoke in a proud tone. Wen Xiao lightly slapped her own mouth. She really wished she could rip her own mouth off. She shouldn't have asked. Talk about asking for trouble. But wait, Shen Beiji kept calling her a single person. She remembered correctly. Isn't Shen Beiji single herself? President Shen, you're talking as if you aren't single too. Wen Xiao stood firm. One may be poor, but one's spirit must not be low. Why did Shen Beiji keep mentioning her singleness? Her poor little heart was already wounded. Shen Beiji put her hands on her hips. She gestured around the room with her chin. The corner of her mouth curved up. Look at this space now. Assistant Wen, do I look like a lonely single person to you? Indeed, single people just can't understand. Wen Xiao, you're so silly. I wonder if any guy will want to marry you later. Wen Xiao felt like she had just taken 10,000 points of damage. So, is Gu Chen about to move in here? Wen Xiao asked in amazement. Shen Beiji nodded with satisfaction. You're not that stupid after all. Now Wen Xiao finally realized. No wonder Shen Beiji made her prepare so many things that boys like. I'm impressed, truly impressed. So quickly she's moving in with the one she likes. President Shen is truly President Shen. Boundless charm. Not long ago, she only dared to look from afar at the boy she loved, and now, Wen Xiao silently gave Shen Beiji a thumbs up in admiration. Then she left, leaving only a lonely silhouette behind. After Wen Xiao left, Shen Beiji walked around the room observing everything. Then she rearranged the parts that she wasn't quite satisfied with yet. She put her hands on her hips and took a wide look around, thinking to herself, Gu Chen will probably love this when he gets back, right? It felt as if a happy vision was appearing before her eyes. Coming back to reality, Shen Beiji raised her arm to check the time. The time on the watch showed it was almost time. She planned to go into the kitchen herself tonight, to cook a delicious meal and wait for Gu Chen to eat together. She turned to go downstairs, heading towards the kitchen. Shen Beiji stepped into the kitchen. Mrs. Zhang, the one in charge of daily cooking, seeing Shen Beiji enter, she was a bit surprised and curious, because before this, Shen Baiji almost never set foot in the kitchen. She thought the young lady wanted to give some instructions. Her face, lined with crow's feet, was full of kindness. She used a towel to dry her hands, then asked with a smile, "Young lady, do you have any orders for me?" "Aunt Zhang, you and everyone else should go rest. No need to prepare dinner tonight," Shen Baiji said while opening the fridge to find the necessary ingredients. Mrs. Zhang was a little worried. She had never seen Shen Baiji cook, so she couldn't bear to let her manage in the kitchen alone. "Young lady, how about I stay and give you a..." "No need." Shen Baiji refused flat. She wanted to personally cook for her Gucci. Therefore, she didn't want anyone's help. Seeing Shen Baiji's determined attitude, Mrs. Zhang didn't insist further. She just pointed out the location of the kitchen tools, told her to be careful, and then left. Shen Baiji finished preparing the ingredients. She started working while following a tutorial video on her phone. Her expression was very serious. In another scene, I had just stepped through the front door. I saw Gu Zhongtian and stepmother Li Fangji both there. Gu Xiang was sitting next to Li Fangji, sobbing and wiping away tears. Li Fangji was patting and comforting Gu Xiang. Looking at Gu Zhongtian, his face looked extremely unpleasant, about to explode in rage. I raised an eyebrow. I had already guessed what it was about. It must be because Gu Xiang snitched to them about what happened this morning. I walked over and sat down, opening with a greeting. But I only called out father and completely ignored the other two. Gu Zhongtian was already very dissatisfied with me, seeing that I only greeted him. He immediately scolded me in a stern voice. "Are you blind? Can't you see the two of them sitting here?" The corner of my mouth twitched into a smile. Then I raised my hand to cover my mouth, pretending to be shocked. "Oh my, I'm so sorry. Look, I just turned 25, and it seems my eyes are already failing, truly getting old. So I didn't even see Aunt Li and my brother here." Looking at Gu Xiang and Li Fangji, their faces turned from pale to red, constantly changing color. Their expressions shifted repeatedly. I found this quite interesting. Aunt Li and brother treat me so well. I'm sure they won't blame me, right? Li Fangji, hearing those words of mine, gritted her teeth, trying to restrain herself. She was holding back from exploding, mainly because Gu Zhongtian was present, so she couldn't just fly into a rage. She always wanted to maintain the image of a gentle, capable woman. Forcing out a strained smile, of course. Then she went back to comforting Gu Xiang, doing it on purpose to catch my eye, as if the two of them were being bullied by me, putting on a face full of grievance. But in reality, it was all an act for Gu Zhongtian's benefit. My gaze shifted from Li Fangji to Gu Xiang, as if I was only just noticing him now. "What's wrong with my brother? Crying? Who bullied you?" When Gu Xiang saw that I finally paid attention to him, having stopped for a moment, he started acting again, this time crying even more pitifully than before. He didn't bother to answer me. He just turned and huddled in Li Fangji's arms, sobbing. His whole body trembled with a look of extreme injustice. Ever since he got home, he had intended to embellish the story for Gu Zhongtian's ears. All about the things that happened this morning, to anger Gu Zhongtian, to tarnish my image in his eyes, and ideally, to one day provoke him into throwing me out of the house immediately. That would be absolutely wonderful for him. He didn't expect me to come home today. The moment he saw me appear, he must have been cheering inside for the perfect timing. He's looking forward to seeing me get scolded. Usually, Gu Xiang plays the role of the obedient, sensible son. In the past, whenever something went wrong, it was always my fault. Even when harshly scolded, I didn't dare make a sound. I even proactively took the blame for him. Only because back then, I thought Gu Xiang was truly good to me. The only person in this family who actually cared about me. Plus, we were only 1 month apart in age. It seemed like we always had endless secrets to share. Ever since my mother passed away, the relationship between Gu Zhongtian and me grew more distant. Gradually, there was little father-son affection left between us. Later, when Gu Xiang appeared, he was always following father around, calling him Ba so sweet. His flattering tongue made Gu Zhongtian love him dearly. The two of them played off each other, leading him to treat Gu Xiang even better than he treated his own biological son me, as if in this house, I was the superfluous one. I also became more withdrawn and cautious, always fearing that a mistake of mine would make them hate me even more. But now I understand one thing. There are things. You can't get someone's love just by trying hard. Being reborn in this life, I feel that many things don't need to be forced. This life of mine, I only want to wholeheartedly treat the person who truly loves me well. That person is Shen Baiji. At this time, Gu Zhongtian stood nearby. Seeing that Gu Xiang had just been somewhat comforted, started whimpering and crying again. He felt extremely heartbroken. Gu Zhongtian's aging face darkened as he looked at me, angrily shouting, "You still have the nerve to show your face and ask, what did you do to your brother? Don't you already know it in your heart?" Father, I just got home, so I really don't know anything. My eyes blinked repeatedly, with a face full of innocence, as if I had absolutely no idea what was going on. You didn't bother coming home for the last 2 days. Where on earth did you go? Gu Zhangqian already knew but asked on purpose, since Gu Xiang had already reported everything to him. Now you don't even care about coming back to this house. Do you even have a father in your eyes? Do you still consider this place home? The more he spoke, the more furious Gu Zhangqian became. As he finished speaking, he slammed his hand hard against the sofa arm.
His whole body exuded a fierce, authoritative rage. But I didn't feel even a shred of fear. I curled my lip into a slight smile, then said leisurely, "Don't you already know exactly where I went? Surely Gu Xiang has told you every single thing. Why bother asking me again? It's redundant. Besides, does it make any difference whether I'm home or not?" After saying that, I lowered my eyes. A flicker of sadness appeared and quickly vanished, and I immediately hid it well. Gu Zhongtian, after hearing those words, pointed his finger in my face, turning purple with rage, to the point where he was speechless. Li Fangjie rushed forward to comfort him, to display her image as a gentle, caring wife. She rubbed Gu Zhongtian's chest to calm him, whispering, "Hubby, Gu Chen is still young and immature. Don't let yourself get worked up over him. It's bad for your health." Though she spoke kind words like that,
She actually hoped my father and I would fight even more fiercely. Those words from Li Fangji did not ease Gu Zhongtian's anger in the slightest. He snorted coldly. He's 25. How is he still young? Xiang is a month younger than him, yet he's far more sensible. You don't need to always stand up and speak well for him. It wasn't until this life that I truly realized. Li Fangji never actually intended to protect me. On the surface, it seems she pleaded for me every time, speaking soothing words to Gu Zhongtian, but in reality, she was just adding fuel to the fire. After every time Li Fangji spoke like that, it only made my situation even more miserable. I used to be so foolish. I thought she truly cared about and worried for me. Gu Zhongtian stared at me intensely and barked in a commanding tone. If you already know everything in your heart, then why haven't you apologized to your brother yet?
if your brother is generous enough to forgive you, then this matter is settled. I felt like I had just heard the dullest joke in the world. I gave a cold laugh. Apologize? On what grounds should I apologize to him? Gu Zhongtian roared. You didn't show your face here for days. Xiang was so worried he got up at dawn to look for you. And how did you treat him in return? Forget about caring for your brother. You even dared to have someone kick him out? You wouldn't even give him a decent breakfast? Since when did your heart become so cold and cruel? Cruel? I was simply giving Gu Xiang a small punishment for his dark schemes. It was just a gentle warning. When it comes to cruelty, how could I ever compete with Gu Xiang, so young, yet possessing such a treacherous heart? Gu Xiang, who had been silent until now, had cried until his eyes were all swollen. He glanced at me and then looked back at Gu Zhongtian. With red eyes, he whimpered, "Father, don't scold him anymore. I'm okay. I don't need him to apologize. Don't force him." After saying that, he sniffled a few more times. His shoulders trembled incessantly. He looked so pitiful and wronged, chuckled inwardly, witnessing Gu Xiang's ridiculous performance. I have to admit one thing. He and Li Fangji are the best mother-son duo in the universe. They both act in the exact same way. Oh, then I should thank my brother for his generosity, right? I have things to do. In leaving. With that, I didn't want to waste another second with them. I stood up, intending to go straight upstairs, to pack up the necessary items to take with me. Before leaving this place, I had promised to have dinner with Shen Baiji. If I kept lingering and got home late, surely Baiji would be very worried. However, my beloved father would never let me leave so easily. As soon as I stood up, I heard Gu Zhongtian scream, "Stop right there. Is there something else?" I stood still and coldly asked back. Gu Zhongtian also jumped up and stormed over to me, pointing at where Gu Xiang was sitting and shouting, "Apologize to your brother right now. If you don't apologize to him today, don't even think about leaving." My anger started to flare up. I found this truly annoying. The air pressure around us seemed to solidify instantly. I stood straight as a pole, staring straight at Gu Zhongtian with icy eyes. In your dreams. Gu Zhongtian seemed shaken by the overwhelming aura emanating from me. He had never seen me like this. It made him feel both unfamiliar and a bit cautious, but to save face as a father. In a flash, Gu Zhongtian regained his composure. He's been around for so many years. Why should he be afraid of a brat like me? Out of sheer embarrassment and rage, he raised his hand high, without a moment's thought or hesitation. A dry slap sound rang out. My face was knocked completely to the side by that thunderous slap.
enough to show how much force Gu Zhongtian had used. My face, the bright red handprint quickly became visible, and it started to swell. It stood out glaringly on my naturally fair skin. It looked truly pathetic, but I still stood tall and unyielding. The force of the blow caused my hair to become messy and stick to my face, hiding some of the emotions on my face at that moment. Gu Zhongtian's slap really caught me off guard. Before I could even understand what was happening, his hand had already come down on my cheek. It was my own carelessness. Right now, I only feel half of my face go numb. I use my tongue to gently push against the inside of my cheek to check. Man, that really hurts. Witnessing that, Li Fangji and Gu Xiang standing nearby must have been celebrating in their hearts. They looked at each other with pure glee and delight. They quickly bowed their heads to hide the triumphant smiles on their lips. Those smiles also vanished quickly to avoid detection. After taking a moment to collect myself, I clenched my hands into fists, whispering to myself, "Very good." This very slap completely eradicated the last thin shred of father-son affection in my heart. From this moment on, consider us even. I curled my lip in a faint cold smile. Clearly visible on my face was the look of utter contempt for the people standing before me. I raised my hand, slowly brushing back the locks of hair covering my face. Turning around, I leisurely adjusted my clothes and hair, glancing one last time at Gu Xiang and Li Fangji, then shifted my eyes to look directly at Gu Zhongtian. Just as everyone wanted. From now on, I will never set foot in this house again. I consider this slap as having received enough. From now on, we're square. But I have some advice. Nobody should be foolish enough to provoke me. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences yourselves. As for what's rightfully mine, will you return it voluntarily? Or do I have to come and reclaim it my own way? It all depends on your choice. After speaking, I didn't care about their reaction. I turned and walked straight upstairs to pack my personal belongings. As soon as I entered the room, I locked the door. The tears I had been suppressing suddenly burst out like a broken dam. They just kept falling, uncontrollable. I leaned my back against the door and slowly slumped to the floor. At this moment, I truly despised myself for being so weak. That I could still feel so much heartache over such cold kin is beyond me. In my heart, I made a solemn vow. This will be the last time. This is the last time I shed tears for those ungrateful people. From now on, if anyone dares touch me, I won't hesitate to strike back. Just then, a message notification rang from my phone. It broke my train of sorrowful thoughts. I hurriedly reached for my phone. It turned out to be a message from Shen Beiji. "Gu Chen, how is everything going? Do you need me to come pick you up?" Seeing Beiji's message, the resentment in me surged again. I was about to type back that I'd be home soon. But then I remembered the marks still visible on my face. I stood up, walked to the mirror, and looked closely at my face. As I predicted, the slap mark had already swollen. I sighed dejectedly. Looking this ugly, how can I face Beiji? I just stood there in front of the mirror, turning my face left and right to observe, then mumbled to myself, cursing how stupid I was. If I had reacted a bit faster, I wouldn't have. What should I do about this? I hurriedly rummaged through the room. I found a tube of ointment that helps reduce swelling. I looked in the mirror and gently applied it to my face, muttering to myself while applying the medicine. How heartless, to hit someone with such force. In the villa, she had prepared dinner with her own hands. Each dish was neatly arranged on the table. Fearing the food would get cold, Shen Beiji thoughtfully covered them. She nodded with satisfaction. A faint smile appeared on her lips. Then she sat properly at the table, waiting for him. After sitting for a while, she felt that the wait was far too long. Unable to wait any longer, she stood up and went to the main gate. She stood at the door, peering out for a long time. Her delicate brows furrowed slightly. She had lost count of how many times she had checked. Anxiously, she raised her hand to check the time. Shen Beiji was calculating in her mind. He should have been home by now. But why hasn't he returned yet? The more she waited, the more afraid Shen Beiji became, fearing that something might have happened to him, fearing he would never return again, that everything that happened before was all a lie. Countless possibilities raced through her mind. Panic-stricken, Shen Beiji took out her phone. She frantically searched for his number to send a message. She waited a little longer. There was still no reply from him. Shen Beiji grew even more worried. She thought, Gu Chen, could something have really happened to him? She hurriedly called him in a panic. The phone rang for a while, but no one answered. The second time it rang, still no one picked up. With every ring, Shen Baizi's heart grew heavier. I was looking in the mirror applying medicine. Hearing the phone ring, I jumped in surprise. The hand holding the cotton swab trembled slightly from the shock. The main reason I was startled was because I felt guilty. Right now, my face is all swollen. It looks truly ugly. Seeing the call from Shen Beiji, I knew. She must be calling to ask why I'm not home yet. If I go back like this and Shen Beiji sees me, what will I do? I hesitated for a moment before picking up the phone. I pressed answer. Beiji. Just as the ringing was about to stop, Shen Beiji finally got through to the person on the other end. He answered the phone.
Hearing my gentle voice coming from the other side, Shen Baiji breathed a sigh of relief. Gu Chen, why aren't you back yet? I knew Baiji would be anxious. Do you miss me? Shen Baiji gave a soft yes. I miss you so much. I miss you too. I got held up by something just now and lost track of time. Shen Baiji heard I had business to attend to, worried that I couldn't handle it. She quickly asked, do you need any help? I said no need. I can handle it on my own. Then when will you be back? Let me come pick you up. She stood up to get the car key, getting ready to drive out and pick me. I heard Baiji say she wanted to come for me. Looking at my face in the mirror, I felt a bit nervous. If I return looking like this, if Baiji sees me, it definitely won't be. Being ugly is one thing, but if Baiji sees him hurt, she'll surely be furious. She'll be so worried. Maybe I should just go back tomorrow. The medicine is on, the swelling should be gone by tomorrow. Then I'll just put a little powder on my face. That way Baiji won't notice anything. That's a great idea. I thought to myself that I'm quite the quick-witted person. Immediately I asked Baiji, can I wait until tomorrow to come home? On the other side, Shen Baiji was holding the car keys. Hearing my words, she stopped her hurried footsteps. She stood in place, silent. She clenched the keys in her hand, not answering. I felt the atmosphere suddenly turn still. I didn't even need to ask to know she definitely wouldn't agree. Her silence meant she was pouting. What else could it be? It's not like she's just being slow. Both of us were silent for a while. I thought for a bit, better to just go home. I can't leave Shen Baiji alone. I can't let her stay home alone being so sad. What if she starts overthinking? The consequences would be very serious. I didn't want the mood between us to be so gloomy. I was the one to speak first to break the silence. I said in a cheerful tone, I was just teasing you. I got you, didn't I? Don't be upset now. I'll be home in a little while. You don't need to come pick me up. Be good and wait for me at home. I'll be there in half an hour. Shen Baiji is actually very easy to coax. Hearing that I was coming back, her mood immediately brightened. She smiled and nodded. Yes. The two hung up the phone. I didn't want Shen Baiji to wait any longer. I ran over to the cupboard, took out all my personal documents, and put them in my bag. I picked up the bag and slung it over my shoulder decisively. Then I went downstairs. Downstairs, Gu Zhongtian's group was still there. They were all terrified by what I had said, because the current wealth of the Gu family mostly came from my mother. The meaning behind my words this evening seemed like I wanted to take back everything that belonged to my mother. They were feeling scared, afraid that if I actually did it one day, their luxurious life would suddenly vanish. The eyes of Li Fangji and Gu Xiang were full of terror. Gu Xiang reached out and gave Li Fangji a gentle nudge, signaling her with his eyes to go persuade Gu Zhongtian. He couldn't afford to lose his current life. He hoped Gu Chen would leave, but at the same time he didn't want Gu Chen to take anything from this house with him. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in Gu Xiang's eyes. I can't just let Gu Chen walk away like this. He had to use his own methods to ensure Gu Chen got absolutely nothing. He clenched his fists. Maybe the only way is to make Gu Chen disappear forever. Li Fangji grabbed Gu Zhongtian's hand. Hubby, don't be angry anymore. Being this angry is bad for your health. Talk nicely to Xiao Chen in a bit. Don't let him threaten to leave home at every turn. He's a boy. It's not safe for him to be out alone. Gu Zhongtian is someone who values his pride greatly, and he had already struck the boy. It was impossible to ask him to swallow his pride and apologize to me. He huffed, if he wants to go, he can just walk out that door and never come back here again. Li Fangji was helpless against Gu Zhongtian's temperament. She glanced at Gu Xiang, not knowing what to do. Seeing me carrying bags down from upstairs, Gu Xiang showed a flash of panic. He knew for sure I was going to find Shen Baiji if I leave today. With Shen Baiji protecting me, anything he wants to do to me later will only be much harder. He hurriedly spoke to Gu Zhongtian. Dad, please talk to my brother. Don't let him leave. What if something happens to him? Hearing Gu Xiang's words, I shook my head slightly. He really can't keep his cool. A mocking smile played at the corners of my mouth, a smile full of sarcasm. Gu Zhongtian glanced at me as I came downstairs, seeing that I truly intended to leave this house. He also felt a flicker of unease, because his current company was mostly built on the assets Xia Wen left to me. He couldn't afford to lose everything he had, but he couldn't bring himself to say anything kind right now, so he spoke to me stiffly. Didn't I just hit you once? I'm your father. Am I not allowed to hit you? Leaving home over such a trivial matter. If you go, don't ever call me father again. He spoke in a threatening tone. Gu Zhongtian thought saying that would scare me. He had never seen me this stubborn before. It's as if I become a different person. The way I am now reminds him of someone, his late wife, Xia Wan. I heard Gu Zhongtian's words.
My heart remained calm without a single ripple. This house and the people in it, there is nothing left to make me linger or care. There was no expression on my face. I just walked straight toward the door. As I reached the door, I suddenly stopped. Seeing me stop at the door, Gu Jiang and the others thought I had changed my mind, that I didn't want to leave anymore. But then they heard me say coldly, with my back turned,
"Goodbye, Mr. Gu," in leaving. After saying that, my lips curled up slightly as I stepped out the main gate. Isn't it just about not calling him father? Fine, I'll call you Mr. Are you satisfied now? Everyone standing inside was stunned. Gu Zhongtian. Driven mad with rage, he grabbed a teacup from the table and hurled it toward the door with all his might. He roared in fury, "Gu Chen. Pity I was already long gone. He wasted a teacup for nothing." I sped down the road in my car. In less than half an hour, I arrived at Shen Beizhi's villa. Shen Beizhi had just finished reheating all the food. Seeing that it was almost time, she went to the gate to wait for me. She saw me driving back just then. She stood there with a radiant smile, waiting for me to park. I saw Shen Beizhi's figure waiting for me at the door. I whispered to myself, how can this woman be so beautiful? Just by standing there, she creates a breathtaking scene. I'm so lucky she belongs to me. Such an outstanding woman. In my past life, I actually ran away from her. I was truly blind. I parked quickly and ran to Shen Beizhi's side. Immediately pulled her into my arms. I held her tight, unable to let go. Shen Beizhi held me just as tightly. She buried her delicate face in my chest. I bowed my head, resting my chin on top of hers, gently stroking her soft, smooth hair. My face was full of contentment. Beizhi, I missed you so much. We were only apart for a short while, but I already miss you this much. At this rate, I won't be able to leave you for a single second. Then we shall never be apart again. Shen Beizhi wished to be with me every single moment, staying together forever. I smiled and said, if we're always together like this, I'm afraid you'll get bored soon. Shen Beizhi didn't hesitate for a second. She immediately denied it. No, you'll never get bored. Gu Chen, you're hungry, aren't you? Hearing Shen Beizhi ask that, I actually was a bit hungry, so I nodded. I'm so hungry I can hardly walk. Let's go. Hurry up. Without waiting for her reaction, I put my arms around her waist. I swept her up in a perfect princess carry. Shen Beizhi reached out and hugged my neck tightly. She was like a koala clinging to my chest. Still startled, she spoke. Don't do this next time. What if you can't hold me and we fall? I chuckled and looked at Shen Beizhi. That won't happen. You have to trust that I'll hold you steadily. As we were facing each other, Shen Beizhi finally saw the red, swollen handprint on my face. She froze, the smile instantly vanishing from her lip. She felt both furious and heartbroken. How could this happen in just a short while? Gu Chen is already injured like this. She only just noticed it now. She was very angry but feared scaring me, so she tried to restrain herself a bit, trying not to look too fierce. She stared intently at my face. With a strained voice, she asked, "Who did this?" I was slightly taken aback. I almost forgot that my face was injured. I guiltily glanced at Shen Beizhi's expression. One look and it was clear she was angry. I lowered my head and whispered, "Don't be mad. I was just careless this time. I promise I won't let myself get hurt again." "Who was it that hit you?" Shen Beizhi was determined. She had to find out who dared to be so cruel. The one she treasured most was struck so hard by someone else. She truly couldn't endure it. Gu Chen sighed softly. It was Gu Zhongtian. Shen Beizhi's arms around me tightened further. I didn't say he was my father. Instead, I called him directly by his name. She didn't even need to think to know. I must have suffered a great deal of grievance. She didn't dare to think about what my previous life in that house was like. Her heart was overflowing with pity for me. Luckily, the two of them were together now. From now on, for sure. She wouldn't let Gu Chen suffer any more losses. Does it hurt? Of course it hurts. The moment she asked, she realized it was a redundant question. It doesn't hurt. Can you please stop being sad? She nodded slightly. She didn't ask anything more. If she wanted to know the full story, she had plenty of ways to find out. As soon as I entered, I smelled the delicious aroma of food. I felt even hungrier now. Beizhi, it smells wonderful. What delicious food do we have tonight? Shen Beizhi remained silent, not bothering to answer me, so I just carried her over to the dining table and sat her down. Once settled, I immediately picked up my chopsticks. I popped a piece of sweet and sour rib into my mouth. Shen Beizhi watched my reaction nervously. She wondered if Gu Chen would find it bad, seeing Shen Beizhi's expectant face, as if she was waiting for my review. I chewed a bit, then exclaimed, it's delicious. I gave her a thumbs up as a sign of praise. Then I picked up another piece and fed it to Shen Beizhi. Beizhi, you should eat too. Why are you just staring at me? Hearing me say it was delicious. Shen Beizhi's mood clearly improved. She smiled and spoke. Whenever my chopsticks went toward a dish, I noticed Shen Beizhi was always staring at me. That look seemed to ask, is it good? Do you like it? I seemed to have guessed something in my heart, so I decided to tease Shen Beizhi a little. I tasted a piece of fish. I furrowed my brows slightly and looked at Shen Beizhi. Beizhi, what's wrong?
Is the fish not good? She quickly held a tissue to my mouth. Spit it out if it's bad. I swallowed it and laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, I'm just kidding.
It's fantastic. Baizhi, I didn't know you could cook. It's so good you must have taken professional classes. Shen Baizhi felt a bit embarrassed by my praise. She lowered her head and looked at her bowl. She poked her rice with her chopsticks. No, I just followed the instructions. And glad you like it, Gu Chen. I really like it. I couldn't help but admire her. She seems good at everything. She knows how to do everything. I heard that when Shen Baizhi was only in middle school, she had already completed the entire high school curriculum. So she took over the family business at a very young age, and her education never suffered for it. She was top of her class in every subject, even with cooking. By just following the simple guide, she could still make such delicious dishes. Comparing oneself to others only leads to frustration. Looking at me, it'd probably just blow up the kitchen. I bit my chopsticks and stared at Shen Baizhi in a daze. There wasn't a single flaw on her from head to toe. Wait, maybe her taste in men is a little flawed. Why would she like someone like me? I shook my head, feeling sorry for her for a second. No, how could I think that? I think I'm actually doing quite all right. I nodded. Yeah, not bad at all. At least I'm very handsome. Standing next to Shen Baizhi, we are truly a match made in heaven. A talented man and a beautiful woman. The golden couple meant for each other. Perfect union, the perfect couple. I'm out of words. Shen Baizhi looked at me in confusion. This guy just kept staring at her, shaking his head and then nodding. Who knows what silly thing he's smiling about? She reached out and lightly poked my forehead. Gu Chen, what are you thinking about? I snapped out of it. I chuckled. I'm not telling you. I'm thinking about something wonderful. You must be thinking about me, Gu Chen. Even if you don't say it, I already know. Baizhi, since when did you become so narcissistic? What if I were thinking about someone else? Just try it. I shook my head like a rattle. I quickly clarified I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. The meal ended with the two of them laughing and joking. I finished showering and walked out while drying my hair. Shen Baizhi had also finished showering in the next room. She was sitting on the edge of the bed with medicine, waiting for me. She beckoned me with her hand. I walked over and she took the towel from my hand. Her movements were incredibly gentle. With a serious face, she dried my hair for a while. Then she used the hairdryer to dry it completely. Then she took out the ointment to apply to my face. Tell me if it hurts. Shen Baizhi applied the medicine very slowly, fearing she might accidentally hurt me. She cherished me as if she were caring for a precious treasure. As she took another close look at the injury on my face, her eyebrows remained tightly knit. She admitted she really couldn't bear it. Seeing Gu Chen injured like this, in her heart a murderous thought arose, but she could only tell herself to be calm, stay calm, keep calm. Does it hurt much? I shook my head slightly. I smiled to comfort her. It's gone already. It just looks a bit scary. She knew I was intentionally comforting her. I didn't want her to worry, but of course it hurt. The more Shen Baizhi looked at the injury, the more her heart ached. Baizhi, please stop looking at me. I know I look ugly right now. Shen Baizhi had a gentle smile on her lips. She stroked the uninjured side of my face. You're not ugly. Gu Chen, you're the most beautiful. I pulled Shen Baizhi into a tight embrace. I lowered my head and nuzzled her neck. Shen Baizhi had just showered. She emitted the soft scent of body wash. It was truly pleasant. Normally, she always had a faint, pure fragrance. I loved it so much. I craved her warmth and scent more and more. I even wondered if she had cast a spell on me. I took a deep breath of her scent, felt a wave of drowsiness wash over me. I said dreamily, Baizhi, you smell so good. Shen Baizhi looked down and sniffed herself. She didn't notice any special scent, but since Gu Chen said so, she'd take it as such. As long as you like it. Now there was another reason for Gu Chen, to love her even more. She felt very contented. The next morning, Shen Baizhi ate breakfast with me and helped apply medicine to my face again. This medicine was truly effective. After just one night, the swelling on my face had gone down. It was almost completely healed. Only a few faint red marks remained. Gu Chen, stay home and rest later. I need to go to the office. I frowned slightly. I didn't really want Shen Baizhi to go to work right now, because I worry her health hadn't fully recovered yet. But your injury isn't completely healed yet. Why go to the office so early? Yes, there's something I need to handle personally. Seeing me pouting and not answering, she put her arms around my neck. She leaned in, looked straight at me, and gave a radiant smile. I'll be back to eat with you tonight. Give me a smile. I thought to myself. Smile? Why don't you say smile for me? Only someone with Shen Baizhi's upright aura could say these things without making people want to snap. One smile costs 100,000 yuan. I was just joking. Unexpectedly, Shen Baizhi immediately took out her phone. I saw her long, slender fingers swipe quickly across the screen. My phone immediately rang with a notification. Picking it up, I saw a notification for 1 million yuan. This big spender is truly generous, giving me 1 million yuan just like that. What's wrong? Gu Chen, is it too little?
With that, she picked up her phone again, preparing to transfer another 10 million yuan, as if 1 million really was a bit too small for her. It was her lack of thorough calculation. I quickly snatched her phone away. No, why are you sending me so much money? I have money too. I had never revealed this to anyone, that I was running my own private company. I named the company Weixin. From a small company with just a few employees at the start, it gradually grew to a scale of hundreds of people. Gu Zhongtian's group knew absolutely nothing about this, and I never publicly announced that I was the founder behind Weixin. All the daily work at the company I entrusted entirely to others to manage. So no one on the outside knew that I was the real boss of that company. Initially, it was for fear the business wouldn't do well, so I worked on it secretly by myself. Later, to my surprise, the company became increasingly successful. I felt that if too many people knew, it would be troublesome, so I continued to hide my identity. Though the profits surely couldn't compare to Shen Beiji, it was more than enough for me to live comfortably. I could be considered quite a rich man now. For now, there is no need for Shen Beiji to give me this much money. In Shen Beiji's eyes, it seems like I am unwilling to spend her money. Is it that you do not want to use my money? Is it that you still haven't thought it through? About whether or not you want to be with me forever? She asked with a trace of melancholy. I still have enough money to spend for now. If I run short, I will definitely ask you. I did not want to make Shen Beiji unhappy. I am not the type to hesitate or put on it. Accepting the money would make her happy. Such a good thing is truly more than one could hope for. Don't let your mind wander into dark places. I'll accept it, okay? Isn't it just because I worry about how hard you work to earn this? That is why I wanted to save a little for you. Don't you see how considerate I am being? It is not hard at all. I am very rich. Brother Gu Chen, you can spend it however you wish. You do not need to be so considerate. I knew Shen Baizu was wealthy. I never expected her to be this incredibly rich. Hearing her say that, I knew instantly that it was an amount that could never be spent in a lifetime. In an instant, the feeling of stinginess completely vanished. Besides, the more money you spend, Brother Gu Chen, the more motivated it'll be to earn even more. That way, we can make even more money. After saying that, Shen Baizi took out a powerful black card and handed it to me. She had actually wanted to give it to me for a long time, but she was afraid I would not accept it. It so happened that Brother Gu Chen just said that it wasn't that he didn't want to spend her money, so she brought it out immediately. Take this card. Do not bother saving money for me. Buy whatever your heart desires. I recognize this black card. In this whole region, a number of people who possess such a card can be counted on one hand. And yet here was Shen Baizi handing it directly to me. A wave of deep emotions surged within me. Shen Baizi has given her entire being to me. Now, in this wide world, only Shen Baizi remains who considers me more important than anything else. I accepted it immediately. I knew that if I did not take it, this woman would surely be sorrowful again. With a wife as rich as Shen Baizi, I have to spend it to my heart's content. Thank you, President Shen. Then from now on, this humble man will be one of the top billionaires in the country. That I have achieved what I have today is all thanks to President Shen's generous favor. My words were filled with a playful, flirtatious tone. After speaking, I gave Shen Beiji an incredibly seductive look. I lightly kissed the card in my hand and tucked it into my pocket. I acted flatteringly, reaching out to massage Shen Beiji's legs, just like a little lackey who had just latched onto a wealthy boss. Shen Beiji was teased into bursting out into laughter. She caught the hand that was messing around on her leg. Brother Gu Chen said thank you to President Shen, but why did you kiss that card instead of kissing me? I immediately lifted Shen Beiji and sat her on my lap, cradling her fair, exquisite face in my hands. Like a persistent woodpecker, I planted dozens of kisses all over Shen Beiji's face. A triumphant smile spread across my face. Is President Shen satisfied with his humble man's service? Shen Beiji did not answer me. She wrapped her arms around my neck, preventing me from pulling away. She passionately deepened the kiss, until my face turned bright red from holding my breath or perhaps from pure embarrassment, turning so red I couldn't bear it before she finally let me go. Has Brother Guchin still not learned how to catch his breath? It is all my fault. I was kissed into a state of total daze. It took me 2 full seconds to react. It turned out she was implying that we hadn't kissed nearly enough. It was all her fault. I was both embarrassed and exasperated. How can this woman so casually say such things with such a serious expression? I raised my fist and gave her a light, playful punch. Shen Beiji chuckled. All right. I won't tease you anymore. She checked the time on her watch. Though she hated to leave me for even a single second, there was still work demanding her attention. Be good. Brother Gu Chen. I'll come home to you soon. I knew that Shen Beiji was normally extremely busy. Right now, there must be some urgent matter that needs her immediate attention. I didn't waste any more of her time. I nodded in agreement. I let Shen Beiji stand up from my lap. Then please take care of your health. Do not overwork yourself. I will be waiting for you to come home. Seeing Shen Beiji off at the door, I leaned down, lifted her face for a kiss, and said with a smile, "Here is a going-to-work kiss as a reward. If there is a work kiss, Is there an off-work kiss too? Even though Shen Beizi hadn't even stepped out yet, she'd already begun to look forward to the moment she could leave work and return home. Not long after Shen Beizi had left, I immediately received a phone call. Looking at the caller's name, I frowned slightly.
I knew that if it wasn't something significant, he wouldn't take the initiative to contact me. The fact that he contacted me surely meant the company was facing a major dilemma. My expression became extremely stern and grave. Pressing answer, I asked in a low voice, "What is it?" I heard Luo Qinghan on the other end, speaking with a highly anxious tone. Someone is bidding high and competing with us for that crucial shipment. Have you found out who the opponent is? Luo Qinghan felt that he hadn't performed well, unable to trace even a shred of information about the opposition. He replied with a look of defeat. I couldn't find anything. The other side is operating very discreetly, leaving absolutely no trace behind. I frowned. Don't panic. Wait until I get to the company to discuss it. Hearing my words, Luo Qinghan breathed a sigh of relief. Whenever the company faced a crisis, as long as Gu Chen took action, everything was resolved. He truly admired this 25-year-old boss. Despite his youth, he possessed an incredibly sharp business mind. He made decisions with absolute certainty, without any hesitation. Decisive and powerful. Hanging up the phone, I immediately went upstairs to change clothes and prepare to head out. I chose a comfortable outfit with a bit of a sporty flair, putting on a hat and a face mask, making myself look neat and agile. Looking at my reflection in the mirror, I felt that the mask was indeed a useful accessory. It helps keep others from recognizing me, and it can also hide the wounds on my face. Quickly finished getting ready, I drove straight to the company. On the way, I suddenly remembered my past life. It seemed that the company faced a similar issue back then. Only at that time, Su Qin was persistently pursuing me, preventing me from handling the situation properly in time. Afterwards, a great deal of time was wasted on Gu Xiang and Su Qin. I no longer paid much attention to the company's affairs, even though normally the company's operation was basically left in Luo Qinghan's hands to manage. But ever since we failed to secure that shipment, the company has suffered severe losses and gradually slid down a slippery slope. My hands gripping the steering wheel slowly tightened. In this life, I absolutely cannot let that happen again. I will not let the brainchild I painstakingly built be destroyed so easily. On another front, in the CEO's office of the Shen Group, Wen Xiao was reporting work status to Shen Beizi. President Shen, we have already raised the price to snatch that shipment. But the opposition is also sticking very close, and we are still not certain of victory. Furthermore, the other side has mobilized a great deal of resources to try and uncover our identity. Did they find anything? Shen Beizi asked in a low voice. Wen Xiao shook her head. She replied with a slightly proud tone. No. Our operations are very clean, without leaking any useful information at all. It's clear the opponent has put in all their capital this time, determined to obtain this shipment at any cost. Once we secure it, our company will likely be close to bankruptcy. Now we are just waiting for your final decision on whether or not to continue raising the price. Shen Beizi flipped through project contracts in her hand and replied, then let them go bankrupt. We must seize that shipment at any cost. Don't worry about capital, just use money to outbid them. The thing Shen Beizi lack the least is money. They are holding the winning hand firmly. This shipment has an extremely important impact on the company's future growth and expansion, even though it is not as truly desperate as the rival over there, who is fighting for it, tooth and nail. No merchant would ever walk away from a deal that is beneficial to them. At this moment, that woman appeared incredibly decisive and sharp, aware that she was about to feel endless regret because of her actions this very day. Luo Qinghan showed me into the office. As soon as the door closed, he immediately began reporting the status of that shipment. After listening, I slammed the table hard in anger. Outrageous. This is truly outrageous. It's one thing to openly steal my goods, but to blatantly declare they want to bankrupt me as well. I cannot take this for another second. I will not back down even an inch. Death before dishonor. Fortunately, this morning, Shen Beizi just gave me so much money. Just the right time to put it to use. This money can be used to handle this emergency. Go all out to seize this shipment by any means. If they raise the price, we raise it too. Do not worry about the finances. Regarding this series of actions, I only want to say, wonderful, truly fantastic. And so, two people without knowing who the other was plunged into an extremely fierce bidding war. As much as Shen Beizi's side increased the price, my side immediately matched it. After several rounds of confrontation, the price had completely exceeded the initial budget for the goods. Boss, if we continue like this, even if we secure this shipment, we'll only face losses instead of profits. What should we do? Luo Qinghan asked anxiously. I propped my chin on my hands deep in thought. My expression darkened as I pondered the situation. I also understood clearly that the current price has far outstripped the actual value the shipment could bring to the company.
But my past self knew all too well
that without this shipment, the company's growth would come to a complete standstill. Furthermore, the money I'm burning belongs to Shen Beizi. I know she's rich, but I can't just keep burning millions and millions of her money like this. We cannot continue this reckless battle any longer. In the end, it won't just be mutual destruction, but only my company suffering heavy damage. It's a real headache. I let out a heavy sigh. With a weary face, I told Luo Kingen, let's pause here for now. Let me see if I can find another way. Luo Kingen was somewhat unwilling. He was about to say something, but he ultimately stopped himself. He didn't utter another word. Indeed, no better solution could be thought of at the moment. In the evening, when Shen Beizi came home from work, I had already returned home earlier than her. As soon as she stepped through the door, she saw me sitting blankly on the sofa. Shen Beizi was still longing for my off-work kiss, so she intentionally made some noise to let me know she was back. But I don't know what I was so occupied thinking about, as I seemed intensely focused on something. I just sat there motionless, completely unaware that she had returned home. Her delicate eyebrows furrowed slightly. She approached and sat down beside me. Nestling into my arms, she whispered, "Brother Gu Chen, what are you thinking about?" Only then did I snap back to my senses. I was preoccupied thinking about what would happen if I lost that ship and what the company should do. I had thought of many alternatives, but none of them worked. It truly is a headache. Could there be no turning point at all? Praying for the other side to show some mercy and let me have this shipment. Without it, things will really be over. But the irony is that even I have no idea who is competing against me. I don't even know where to go to beg, so I forced a smile. Looking at Shen Beiji, I said sluggishly, "Sister Beiji, you're back." Noticing Gu Chen's weary and dejected expression, she was slightly worried and reached out to touch my forehead. She thought I might be falling ill. "Are you feeling unwell?" "No, I'm fine." Not wanting to worry Shen Beiji, I tried to cheer myself up. I smiled and said, "I'm just hungry." Shen Beiji's anxious heart was somewhat eased. "Aunt Jiang has finished cooking. Come on, let's wash our hands and eat." "All right," I nodded. Letting Shen Beiji lead me by the hand, she said, "Brother Gu Chen, if you're hungry in the future, just eat first. You don't have to wait for me." I shook my head. "I prefer having dinner with you." Shen Beiji secretly decided to come home even earlier from now on. She couldn't let Brother Gu Chen wait for too long. It pained her to let him stay hungry. During the meal, Shen Beiji noticed I was constantly lost in thought. For whenever I ate, I looked like I was ravenous, always stuffing my mouth with food. It was a joy just to watch me eat. But today, I only kept my head down, nibbling slowly at my food. Whatever dish Shen Beiji put in my bowl, I simply ate it. Even the green vegetables she usually had to coax me for a long time before I'd take a few bites of. Today, even though she served me several times, I didn't offer a single word of protest. I finished every bit of it. At this rate, I probably wouldn't even know what I was even chewing in my mouth anymore. Shen Beiji began to worry about my unusual behavior. She looked at me and asked, "Brother Gu Chen, is it because the food doesn't suit your taste today?" "Huh. Of course not. It's delicious." Hearing her voice, I finally snapped back to reality. I hurriedly shoveled the rice into my bowl. In just a few bites, I had finished it all. "Sister Beizi, I'm full now. Going upstairs to shower first? Come up once you're done eating." Shen Beizi nodded slightly. Watching my back as I went upstairs, her eyes narrowed slightly. Her gaze was filled with scrutiny and suspicion. He's being so strange. Something must have happened. If she didn't realize it by now, she'd be a fool. But what on earth could it be? Could someone in this house have bullied him? But surely no one in this house would dare be so bold. She glanced at the dinner spread before her. We clearly promised to eat together, yet after barely eating, he just walked away. Shen Beizi was no longer in the mood to continue eating. She set down her chopsticks and called for Uncle Wang, Aunt Zhang, and the other household staff. Shen Beizi asked in a low voice, "Did anyone do anything today to upset Brother Gu Chen or make him unhappy in any way?" Everyone hurriedly shook their heads in unison and replied, "No, ma'am, absolutely not. Even if they had 10 times the courage, they would never dare to provoke any sadness in me." Everyone understood how much Shen Beiji cherished me. After all, having worked here for all these years, they had never seen her treat anyone as gently and thoughtfully as she treated me. Hearing Shen Beiji ask this, calling them out for questioning, they actually felt a sense of relief. Seeing her make such a big deal out of it, they thought they had done something wrong in their work. Still, Aunt Jiang was the most observant. She also noticed that since I returned from my outing, I had been sitting alone in a daze. She remembered when she brought fruit to me, she had to call 3 times before I heard, "Miss, it seems young Master Gu just went out for a bit." When he returned, he looked quite unhappy. "Brother Gu Chen went out today." Seeing Aunt Zhang and Uncle Wang both nod in confirmation, Shen Beiji suddenly felt that she had been negligent. A wave of regret rose in her heart. She hadn't even known that Brother Gu Chen had gone out. Most importantly, he returned carrying such a heavy burden of sadness, and she had no idea what was causing it. She should have assigned 2 people to follow and protect him. That way she could stay informed about whatever was happening.
She stood up and walked towards the bedroom. At this moment, I still hadn't come out of the bathroom. Shen Beiji stood staring at the bathroom door for about 2 minutes, then took her clothes to the adjacent bathroom to wash up. By the time she finished bathing and returned to the room, she saw me lying motionless on the bed. I was lying with my back turned to the door, leaving her only a silent view of my silhouette. Hearing movement on the other side of the bed, I knew Shen Beiji had gotten into bed. I turned over and pulled Shen Beiji into my embrace. Holding her tightly, I gently nuzzled my head against her. Inhaling her familiar scent, I felt as if Shen Beiji possessed some kind of magical power, because every time I caught that fragrance, my heart would find an extraordinary sense of peace. Her small hand gently grasped mine, absent-mindedly playing with my fingers. I matched her pace, gently playing with her hand in return. Suddenly, Shen Beiji asked, "Brother Guchen, is there something you want to tell me?" My entire body suddenly stiffened. My hands, which had been playing, stopped all movement instantly. Why would Shen Beiji suddenly ask me such a thing? Could it be that my outing today, she had already discovered the truth about my company? If I still tried to hide it from her now, Shen Beiji would surely be furious. "Sister Beiji, do you know everything?" But I still want Brother Guchen to tell me himself. Shen Beiji felt like quite the cunning fox, using a baiting tactic to trap an innocent brother like this. But most importantly, she truly wanted to know the whole story. I hesitated for a moment, secretly calculating. Better to just confess everything to clear my conscience. Who would have thought this was a textbook case of confessing before the first blow? In truth, Shen Beiji only asked casually because she saw I was sad. Yet I went and offered up all my secrets myself. I gritted my teeth and decided to take a gamble. I scrambled to sit up in bed. Bowing my head and fiddling with my fingertips, I whispered, "It's true. I did indeed start a company, but you probably know already. It's about to go up in smoke." A look of shock flashed across Shen Beiji's face. Brother Guchen said he has his own company. This man is actually quite impressive. But what on earth does he mean by "it's about to be gone"? She truly had no idea whatsoever. Though filled with questions, she didn't dare ask immediately, so she had to pretend she knew everything perfectly. I only heard myself start to lose it and continue pouring out. "I'm truly absolutely furious, so angry my lungs are about to burst. Today I use all the money you gave me to go fight for that important shipment. And yet, in the end, I was the one who lost. But what drives me even crazier is, I can't even find out who the hell is opposing me. If the day ever comes that I discover his identity, I will definitely beat him until his teeth cover the ground. I'll make him kneel and beg for my forgiveness for what he did today." I clenched my fists, huffing with rage as I spoke. The more I spoke, the more I burned with the desire to find that person right away and give them a sound thrashing. Hearing the words "that shipment" from my mouth, Shen Baiji's heart suddenly missed a beat. A dark premonition immediately flooded her mind. Could such an ironic coincidence actually exist? The shipment she was fighting for as if her life depended on it. Could the opponent really be Brother Guchen's company? The moment that thought occurred, Shen Baiji was frozen in shock. I finished speaking, but Shen Baiji didn't respond, assuming she was also angry on my behalf. "Sister Baiji, don't you think this is absolutely outrageous too?" The corner of Shen Baiji's mouth twitched awkwardly. She nodded slightly. "Yes, it is aggravating. They really are too much." Exactly. But Brother Guchen, what did you say your company's name was?" Right after I mentioned the name, Shen Baiji's heart, already hanging by a thread, immediately plummeted into a deep abyss. It seemed that the rival company she fought for the shipment with today also had the word "she" in it. Shen Baijiu began to feel an overwhelming anxiety. She was 99% sure it was Brother Guchen's company. Having said my piece, my face turned gloomy once again. The utter failure made my normally straight shoulders slump slightly. I let out a long sigh and said, "Sigh, at this rate the company is probably doomed." Shen Baiji could only manage an awkward, forced smile. If it really was Brother Guchen's company, and he found out she was the one competing with him, her life would be over. Not to mention she had loudly declared she would bankrupt that very company. She hurriedly pulled me down to lie down, tucking the blanket properly. She embraced me and placed a gentle kiss on my forehead. She softly coaxed, "Let's just sleep for now. We can think more about this in the morning. Who knows, maybe things will look up tomorrow." "I suppose so." I turned over and wrapped my arms tightly around Shen Baiji. I breathed in her scent a few more times to settle my nerves. Feeling incredibly safe, I pushed all my worries aside. Sleepiness quickly washed over me, and I fell into a deep slumber. Shen Baiji watched as I slept soundly, and she gently lifted my hand that was resting on her waist. Then, bit by bit, she carefully pulled out the arm I was using as a pillow. She tiptoed softly out of the bedroom. She entered the study and pulled the door nearly shut. Immediately, Shen Baiji took out her phone and called Wen Qiao. The other end picked up almost instantly. Shen Baiji wanted to confirm one more time. She secretly prayed that it absolutely was not Brother Guchen's company. With only a 1% glimmer of hope left, she asked, The company competing with us for that shipment. What is its full name after all? Wen Xiao answered truthfully. Yes, it is the Dewey Shi Company.
Wen Xiao wondered why Shen Baizi was asking about this in the middle of the night.
Hadn't we already secured that shipment earlier today? When Shen Baizi heard that name again once more straight from Wen Xiao's mouth, her whole body felt like it was breaking apart. She's doomed. She really offended Gu Chen Appa. Having offended him, return that shipment immediately. Give it to Wei Shi for free. Wen Xiao couldn't believe it. President Shen, are you serious? She felt like she must have misheard. The shipment was so hard to snatch. Now she's being told to return it for free. She suspected she was dreaming. Otherwise, Shen Baizi hadn't woken up yet. Only an unsound mind would say such things. Wei Shi is Gu Chen Appa's company. I just found out about this too. No wonder Shen Baizi said that. Wen Xiao understood immediately. Steal from anyone, but never from Gu Chen Appa, if she remembered correctly.
President Shen even declared she'd bankrupt Wei Shi. She silently offered a 2-minute prayer for Shen Baizi, hoping she gets lucky. Yes, I'll get to it right away. Be careful to hide our identity well. Gu Chen Appa must not find out that we are the ones behind this. No one is allowed to mention this shipment ever again. Baizi warned anxiously. Hanging up, it felt like she'd just settled a major crisis. She let out a soft sigh of relief. She turned to head back to the bedroom. Who knew that as soon as she turned, she'd see me leaning against the door, with my arms crossed over my chest, standing there watching her with a half smile. Shen Baizi startled and took half a step back. Tension enveloped her whole body. I caught every single one of her reactions. Gu Chen Appa. When did you get here? Shen Baizi was so guilty she started stammering. It's over. It's all over. Could he have heard everything? I had just stayed in that same position, slightly curling my lips while staring at Shen Baizi.
Yes, everything Shen Baizi didn't want me to know. I already knew it all. I had just dozed off for a bit when I felt Shen Baizi seemingly get up and head out. When Shen Baizi stepped out of the bedroom, I also opened my eyes in the darkness, not sleeping at night, waiting for me to fall deep asleep before sneaking out. Fearing something was wrong with Shen Baizi, I immediately got up and followed her. To my surprise, light was spilling out from the office. I thought that this woman was secretly working in the middle of the night. I intended to call her back to sleep. What couldn't wait until tomorrow morning to be handled. But as soon as I reached the door, I heard from inside the sound of Shen Baizi on the phone. I don't know if it's because my footsteps were too light,
or because Shen Baizi was too engrossed in her conversation,
but she didn't notice a thing. I stood right there and heard it all. I didn't answer but asked back, heard what? Is there something you're hiding from me, Baizi, that you don't want me to know? Gu Chen Appa, I really didn't know it was your company. Shen Baizi now looked like a child who had done something wrong, covering her beautiful face, bowing her head, not daring to look at me. Baizi, you're really something. After saying that, I turned around and left, returning to the bed in the bedroom. No wonder I couldn't find out who the competitor was. It turns out it was Shen Baizi. Why didn't I think of it sooner? Using Shen Baiji's money to snatch things from herself. Thinking of this, I was both annoyed and amused. Who could have predicted this situation? Although I knew Shen Baiji was innocent. After all, I never told her about that.
She didn't know that company was mine. If she had known, she definitely wouldn't have competed with me. She would have even helped me.
Just like now, as soon as she knew the company was mine, she immediately ordered the entire shipment to be given to me. But Shen Baizi dared to say she wanted to bankrupt my company. I won't forgive her that easily. I must punish her severely. Seeing me turn and leave, Shen Baizi's heart skipped a beat, fearing I was truly angry and would leave the house. By then, even crying wouldn't help her. She hurriedly chased after me. Luckily, she saw me heading toward the bedroom, trotting along right behind me. Seeing me sit on the bed with my back to her, she circled around to force me to look at her. I stubbornly refused to look at Shen Baizi. Not even a glance. I turned again to face another way, keeping my back to her. Undeterred, Shen Baizi kept following my movements,
determined to make me look at her, and so the two of us played around, entwined on the bed without getting tired. One evading, one chasing. Tired of playing, I finally glared at Shen Baizi to settle the score. You were the one who said you wanted to bankrupt my company. Shen Baiji's eyelids flickered. It's over. She knew she couldn't escape this. She gave a very slight nod, daring not to look me straight in the eye, hurriedly glancing at my expression, and immediately looking away, fearing I'd get too angry and harm my health. Shen Baizi dove straight into my arms, coaxingly calling out, Gu Chen Oppa. I'm sorry. I really didn't know it was your company at first. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't have said such things. I wouldn't have competed with you for that shipment either. Don't be mad at me anymore, okay? After speaking, Shen Baizi intended to kiss me, to soothe me and lessen my anger. Unexpectedly, I directly used my hand to block her approaching mouth, not letting her kiss me. Shen Baizi said a bit poutily, Gu Chen Oppa, you said I could kiss you whenever I wanted. Now you're starting to not let me kiss you. This is your punishment. Let me change to another punishment. Isn't this way of punishing a bit too harsh? Shen Baizi wanted to bargain a little,
but she didn't dare make me unhappy again. I looked at Shen Baiji, appearing like a little wife who had been wronged, so different from her usual self. Why is there such an adorable contrast? Anyone else would think she was suffering terribly. I suppressed a laugh inside. I leaned in and gave Shen Baiji a soft kiss on the lips. Then I looked away, avoiding her gaze, as if the person who just kissed her wasn't me, having just been kissed. Shen Baiji's eyes instantly lit up, both delighted and surprised. Guchen Oppa initiated a kiss. That means he's not angry anymore. Her face beamed with a radiant smile. Guchen Oppa, weren't you just lying through your teeth? You only said I couldn't kiss you. You didn't say you couldn't kiss me. Amused by Shen Baiji's reaction. This woman is so easily satisfied, so happy over just one kiss. A playful thought to tease Shen Baiji suddenly occurred to me. I reached out and pushed Shen Baiji down onto the bed. I turned and sat on top of Shen Baiji. Shen Baiji was just too easily subdued. This is going to be fun. Sitting on her, I flashed a charming smile. Looking down at her, I slowly leaned in closer, secretly sporting a sly grin. My eyes swept over Shen Baiji's lips. Just as I was about to touch her lips, I suddenly stopped, with a face full of playful intent, watching Shen Baiji as she softly closed her eyes, thinking I was about to kiss her, but I deliberately wanted to tease this woman a bit. How could I give in to her so easily and just kiss her like that? The two of us were at a very close distance. I noticed Shen Baiji's breathing start to quicken, each breath puffing against my face. Shen Baiji was made flustered by me, only feeling her lower abdomen tighten, reaching out to hold my waist tightly, wanting me to get even closer to her, seeing me lean down as if to kiss her. Shen Baiji closed her eyes, waiting for my kiss, but after waiting a long time, nothing happened. With a bit of doubt, she opened her eyes, only to see unconcealed mischief in the depths of my eyes, a very mocking smile. She immediately realized I was in the mood to tease again. Unexpectedly, I was bold enough to tease her like this. Shen Baiji's eyes were filled with tenderness and a hint of desire. Using a deep, warm voice, she softly called, Guchen Oppa. Then she tilted her head up, intending to kiss me. I directly used my hand to block Shen Baiji's mouth, not letting her sit up even for a single kiss. I sat up straight on her to evade. Threatening. Baiji, no breaking the rule. I already said you can't kiss me. If you keep trying, I'll really be mad. Only I am allowed to kiss you. Shen Baiji looked at me with great interest. Then will Guchen Oppa kiss me? I raised my hand to stroke my chin, rolling my eyes before answering, let me consider it, to see how your behavior is. Shen Baiji held my waist tightly. I'll do whatever Guchen Oppa tells me to. Is that behavior good enough? Baiji, you said it yourself. You must do whatever I say. Shen Baiji smiled and nodded vigorously. I put on an arrogant face, like a little tyrant, brushing off Shen Baiji's hands that were around my waist, saying, raise both hands above your head. No hugging without my permission. Shen Baiji obediently complied, raising her hand. A smile at the corners of her lips as she looked at me. I nodded in satisfaction. Then I began to unbutton Shen Baiji's pajamas one by one. Shen Baiji was startled in her heart. Why suddenly unbutton her clothes, playing this big? Continuing like this would be the death of her. She intended to raise her hands to stop my actions. Just as her hands moved, I noticed immediately. Pointing at her hands, I said fiercely, don't move. You promised me. Seeing Shen Baiji no longer resisting, I continued my unbuttoning task. Everywhere my hands brushed, Shen Baiji trembled. A tingling shiver. Shen Baiji's breathing became more rapid. She looked at me with a slightly pitiable expression. Using a hoarse, restrained voice, Guchen Oppa, am so uncomfortable. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Shen Baiji's shirt was halfway off thanks to me, still sitting on top of her, reaching out to touch her bare skin, gently stroking from her neck downward, to see if you'll dare say you want to bankrupt my company again. Shen Baiji let out a soft moan from her throat. She felt that everywhere my hand passed, her whole body turned burning hot. The man, especially me, was teasing her very happily, occasionally shifting a bit on top of her. Shen Baiji felt like her whole self was about to explode. Guchen Oppa, don't move anymore. Do you really want to take my life? Shen Baiji pleaded in a low voice. Unable to take it anymore, she reached out to hold me back, preventing me from continuing to squirm on top of her. At this moment, I clearly noticed the abnormality coming from Baiji's body. I paused for a moment. Of the 36 stratagems, fleeing is the best. I quickly struggled, intending to climb off Shen Baiji. But Shen Baiji wasn't about to let me off that easily. How can you start a fire and not put it out? Shen Baiji saw me wanting to flee. Grabbing my ankles, she pulled me toward her. Thus, I was pulled close. I was pulled back and then flipped over. Shen Baiji immediately pinned me down, looking down at me with a predatory smile, planning to run after doing something bad. Baiji, I was wrong. I was so scared I was speechless. My hands desperately pushed against Shen Baiji to keep her away. Is this woman really planning to do this for real? I felt immense regret in my heart. My brain must have short-circuited. Of all the things to do, I just had to tease Shen Baiji every day. This hoist by one's own petard situation is miserable. Shen Baiji looked at me with amusement, finding her Gu Chen Appa just too adorable. So bold when teasing someone, but now as cowardly as a rabbit. It's too late to realize you're wrong now. After saying this, Shen Baiji held me firm and locked onto my lips.
Feeling me struggle slightly, trying to escape, she used her hand to hold the back of my neck tightly, just to prevent me from running away. Slowly deepening the kiss, perhaps due to the lack of oxygen, kissing until my head was spinning. Red flush gradually appeared on my face. My hands, which were pushing against Shen Baiji's chest, gradually moved down to her slender waist. Holding her, I slightly tilted my head to respond to Shen Baiji's kiss. Shen Baiji felt my response. Her breathing immediately became heavier. Fearing I'd suffocate, she lifted herself up slightly, whispering into my ear in a raspy voice, "Gu Chen Oppa." My eyes were completely hazy now, giving me exactly 2 seconds. Shen Baiji kissed me again. This time was even more passionate than the last, entwining possessively inside my mouth. I don't know when, but our bodies were glued together. The atmosphere gradually heated up. Just when Shen Baiji thought we're going all the way today, she suddenly felt a restless discomfort in her lower abdomen. The next second, she felt a rush of heat down below. No way. Her period ante arrived at the worst possible time. She sat up in a panic and pushed me away. I looked up, my eyes still a bit dazed, only to see Shen Baiji grimacing her small face, seemingly wanting to say something to me. Her face turned bright red from embarrassment, not daring to speak, opening her mouth to speak, then stopping, closing her eyes, stammering. Gu Chen Appa. My period arrived. After saying it, she didn't dare look at my expression at all. I was a bit stunned for a moment. Shen Baiji felt like she had lost all face. Taking advantage of my dazed state, she pushed me away and quickly jumped off the bed to the bathroom. I shook my head and laughed helplessly. Then I also got up and left the bed, finding change of clothes for Shen Baiji, then grabbing some sanitary pads, bringing them both to the bathroom door. I knocked on the door. "Baiji, open up. I brought your change of clothes." I only saw Shen Baiji crack the door open a tiny bit, poking a fair hand out to receive the items. I knew she was embarrassed, so I didn't say anything more. After giving her the things, I went to the room next door. Once Shen Baiji had cleaned herself up, she opened the door and poked her head out first, sneakily looking around outside. Looking around and not seeing any sign of me, only then did she hurry out and climb onto the bed, sitting against the headboard, waiting for me to return. After a while, she saw me open the door and walk in, carrying a cup of brown sugar ginger tea in my hand. "Drink this to feel better." I handed the cup to Shen Baiji, seeing her eyes were slightly red. Worry immediately rose in my heart. "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" Shen Baiji shook her head. Forcing a smile at me, she said, "Nothing. It's just that I feel so happy to have met you. Gu Chen Appa, it's so good to have you." I stroked her head, tenderly saying, "Having you is great too, Baiji ah." After Shen Baiji finished drinking, I took the cup, placed it on the nightstand, and climbed back onto the bed. Shen Baiji immediately moved closer, intending to hug me, but I stopped her. "Because you're in your special period, you can't catch a cold." Saying this, I also helped her tuck in the blanket, covering her up really tightly, not letting her get close to me at this time. Shen Baiji huddled inside the blanket with only her eyes peeking out. Less than a minute later, she asked, "Gu Chen Appa, are you warm yet? Can you wait a bit longer?" About a minute later, she asked again, "Gu Chen Appa, still not warm?" I looked at the impatient expression of Shen Baiji and laughed. "Baiji just wait a bit more." Shen Baiji pouted, raising her delicate eyebrows, looking quite dissatisfied, muttering, "How much longer do I have to wait?" The corners of my lips curled slightly. A gentle look appeared on my handsome face, both tender and a bit helpless. Feeling my body temperature had recovered somewhat, lying down and rubbing my hands together, pulling her into my arms, one arm holding her, the other hand placed on her abdomen. "Does it still hurt?" Shen Baiji nuzzled her small face into me, like a little kitten, her face full of satisfaction. Beaming, she said, "No. Every time this happens, I don't get cramps." I kissed Shen Baiji's forehead. "That's good. Sleep now." "Good night, Gu Chen Oppa." "Good night." The next morning, I was awakened by the phone ringing. Noticing no one was beside me, Shen Baiji must have gone to the company. Feeling the temperature of the bed, she must have been gone for quite a while. I answered the phone. From the other end came an extremely excited voice. "Big brother, big brother." The volume was so loud that it blew away any remaining sleepiness. I moved the phone a bit further away. "Luo Qinghan, am still very much alive. Calling my spirit this early. Am just too excited." Luo Qinghan realized he had indeed been too excited. The voice was a bit too loud.
a bit embarrassed, scratching his head. Tell me, what happened to get you so excited? Actually, I already guessed the reason why he was so excited. Seeing this guy was happy, and fearing that if I said the reason directly, it would ruin his mood. So I just asked a question to let Luo Qinghan say it himself. That shipment. Mentioning this, Luo Qinghan couldn't restrain himself. His voice got a bit louder, hurriedly covering his mouth with his hand. Lowering his voice, he spoke again. Big brother, that shipment has been received. The competitor actually gave it to us for free. I'm not dreaming, am I? Yeah. I simply replied to him with one word. I had already known since last night. Shen Baiji would give me that shipment, so I wasn't surprised at all. Luo Qinghan still didn't know what had happened, only seeing that my reaction was excessively calm. Truly, my big brother, so composed. His admiration for me rose by another level. Just take it and maximize its value from now on. Don't let her sincerity go to waste. Yes. After hanging up, I saw the message Shen Baiji sent me. In an instant, all feelings of emptiness vanished, fingers flying over the keyboard. Replying, I know. The company said the shipment has been received. Thank you, Baiji. Love you so much, moi. Then happily going to wash up. Every step was incredibly light. It was clear my mood was very good. This is so boring. Someone save me. Qin Fen was rolling around on his bed, finally splayed out in the shape of the character Da, staring blankly at the ceiling and complaining. It was evident he was really quite free. Thinking back, except for the last time Brother Chen came to find me, there had been no contact since then. Just how busy is this person? Busy to the point of having no time to look my way. Picking up the phone that had fallen under the bed, opening the chat window with me. It was still messages from a few days ago. I sent him a sticker, fingers tapping on the keys, sending me a message. Brother Chen, please, save me. Also attaching a heart-wrenchingly crying icon. Very quickly after, he received a reply from me. You're really bored out of your mind. Speak up, where do you want to go? Today, your big brother will escort you out to play. Qin Fen laughed happily, replying with a bit of flattery. Truly, no one understands me like Brother Chen. Let's go to the shopping mall. Eat to our heart's content. Shop till we drop. I replied, all right, then get ready quickly. Wait at home for me to pick you up. Xin Feng suddenly felt like he was being pampered. Gu Chem is clearly half a year younger than me, yet it's brother this and brother that. He curled his lips, secretly delighted. After everything was ready, I drove toward Qin Feng's house, preparing to pick him up. I completely failed to notice that as soon as I left, two big guys were also driving a car following closely behind. They were people Shen Beiji had specifically arranged. The two of them were responsible for protecting my safety. They would report immediately to Shen Beiji if anything happened. Most importantly, I must not find out, fearing I would feel like I was being surveilled. I drove to the bottom of Qin Feng's building. Just as I was about to call and say it arrived, I saw Qin Feng walking out from inside. Qin Feng recognized my car with just a glance, excitedly running fast to the car door, opened the passenger door and hopped inside. He looked at me with a giggling face. His breathing was a bit unsteady. While buckling his seatbelt, he exclaimed, Whoa, Brother Chen, long time no see. Seems like you've gotten even more handsome. Huh. He gave me a cheesy, flirtatious wink after saying that. I burst out laughing at Qin Feng's little antics. I started the car. Didn't we just see each other a few days ago? You still dare to call that a few days ago? It's been forever. Come on, tell me where you've been and what you've been doing. You coaxed me and then just tossed me aside like that. If I'd known, I wouldn't have made up with you so soon. If you were a girl, you'd definitely be a total heartbreak. The corners of my mouth curled up. My eyes narrowed with a smile. Deep down, I felt like this was really nice. The two of us are still the same as before. In this moment, I truly cherish Qin Feng. Whenever he's with me, he never runs out of things to say. His mouth just keeps chattering away. He can talk about anything, Brother Chen. If I were a girl, it'd definitely chase you. You wouldn't have to be single anymore. Actually, you know me well enough. Love is way too troublesome. Better to stay single. Qin Feng felt that love was an incredibly complicated mess. You love, then you break up. You break up, then you suffer. Why be so cruel to yourself? So it's best not to date all. Any random woman better not even get him. Once you meet the right person, you won't think like that. Of course, I knew what Qin Feng was worried, but when the person truly meant for you, all those worries won't matter anymore. Qin Feng looked at me as I drove with a suggestive smile. The way he looked at me gave me goosebumps. Spill it. Did something happen? I played dumb, pretending not to know what Qin Feng was getting at. Huh? What do you mean by something? Brother Chen, keep on acting. Tell me, just tell me already. Qin Feng was dying to know. He's saying that meant something was definitely up. Suddenly thinking of that woman named Su Qin. Qin Feng's face darkened instantly. He asked quite seriously, Gu Chen, don't tell me you. Don't tell me you. I looked at Qin Feng bewildered. Why did his expression change so fast? I hadn't even said anything yet. No idea what he was thinking about now. Don't tell me I what? You didn't get back with that toxic Su Qin, did you? Just then, the traffic light ahead turned red. Hearing Qin Feng say that, I slammed on the brakes.
Qin Feng, what the hell are you talking about? I'd rather be alone forever than be with her. I wish I could tear her to pieces. At the mention of her, my eyes were filled with pure hatred. Qin Feng felt relieved seeing my reaction. Why does Brother Chen suddenly hate Su Qin this much? He wasn't like this before when she was mentioned. But as long as he sees her for who she is, that's fine. I thought you were blinded by her again. You scared me to death. I glanced at Qin Feng and smiled, knowing he was truly worried about me. The light turned green and I continued driving toward our destination. I have something to tell you. I'm afraid you'll be even more terrified by this. Go on, let's see what else could possibly be scarier than what you just said. Shen Beiji and I are together now. What? Who? Qin Feng sat bolt upright in shock. He doubted whether his ears had heard correctly. Shen Beiji? Is it that Shen Beiji? Qin Feng asked in rapid succession, flustered. I laughed a bit helplessly. How many Shen Beijis do you think are around here? Plus, I've already moved in with her. I delivered another blow of shock. After hearing that, Qin Feng was completely frozen in horror. How could so much happen in just a few days? He found it hard to process everything immediately. What? Qin Feng let out a scream, making me lean away to the side. Didn't you say before that you were scared whenever you saw her? Said she never smiles. Radiates an icy, don't bother me vibe. Said she sought you out a few times, and you ran away as fast as you could when she tried to approach. How did you suddenly end up living together? You weren't forced by her, were you? Except for this reason. Qin Feng really couldn't think of any other explanation. I burst out laughing. I really had to admire Qin Feng's imagination. If I were forced, would I even be standing here right now? Qin Feng looked thoughtful and nodded.
True. If it were actual coercion, you'd probably be locked up at home and never allowed out. Otherwise, you might run away and never come back. You don't look forced at all, so you must really like her. That's why you want to be with her. I spoke with a look of pride clearly on my face. Exactly. Liking Shen Beiji is something to be very proud of. But how did you fall for her so fast? Did she save your life or something? Qin Feng was just joking. The pace of this whole thing was just too fast. The two of you moved in together just like that. Qin Feng's words were casual, but I answered very seriously. Yes, she saved my life in my past life. She even sacrificed her own life for me. In the past life, Shen Beiji gave her life to save mine. In this life, I must use my love, and my entire life to be by her side.
Qin Feng thought I was talking nonsense, so he didn't pay any mind.
I quietly recalled the times I had met Shen Beiji before. We hadn't interacted much, but this woman was indeed very beautiful. Moreover, being so young, yet leading the Shen group to global prominence, her capabilities were truly impressive. Ignoring the unpleasant rumors circulating outside, this woman was truly magnificent, compared to a useless woman like Su Qin, whose family only relied on her father supporting a small company, while she herself was full of malicious intent, always dreaming of relying on men to change her life, to start a new life of luxury. Qin Feng thought for a while, then shook his head. They really couldn't be compared. Comparing Su Qin to Shen Beiji is an insult to President Shen. There's absolutely no point of comparison. Anyone with a brain would know which one is better. Then he looked at me and
matching with Shen Beiji isn't a bad deal at all. Actually, it sounds like you hit the jackpot. The more Qin Feng thought about it, the more amused he became. He grinned at me and said, Nice, very nice. I finished parking, unbuckled my seatbelt, and gave Qin Feng a light flick on the forehead. I mimicked his tone. Nice, very nice. We're here, let's get out. The two of us entered the mall to look around. This time, I was mainly accompanying Qin Feng for his shopping. Walking up to the front of a luxury fashion store, I saw an outfit on a mannequin inside. It looked very elegant. I felt it would suit Qin Feng perfectly. I pulled Qin Feng to a stop in front of the shop. I pointed at the outfit and said, Qin Feng, do you think that one looks good? Qin Feng looked where I was pointing. A flash of surprise sparked in his eyes. He smiled and nodded. It's beautiful. Then let's go in and try it on. I pulled Qin Feng inside as I spoke. Usually, Qin Feng would never set foot in shops like this. Given his financial situation, stores like this were indeed a bit too luxurious, even though Qin Feng's family background wasn't bad. But they weren't excessively wealthy either. One could only say they were well off. As soon as I entered, I spoke to the sales clerk. Could you please get this outfit for us to try on? The clerk gave a professional smile and nodded. She politely replied, Yes, young master. Then she took the outfit down and led Qin Feng and me to the dressing room. After trying it on, both Qin Feng and I thought the outfit looked great. Then I took a few items and prepared to pay.
glimpsing over at the women's section. There was a long, pale pink dress. I walked over to take a closer look, quietly imagining how Shen Beizi would look in this dress. Shen Beizi's daily clothes were usually either white or black, though I had to admit, with her figure, she'd look good in anything. But she should change her style once in a while. I thought if Shen Beizi wore this color, she would definitely be stunningly beautiful. Buying it. I hadn't even bought her a gift yet, and I didn't even know she would like it. Using Shen Beiji's money to buy a gift for her. I think I'm the only one who would dare to do this. Took both the shirt and the dress to pay at once. The two of us walked out carrying the bags. Qin Feng kept babbling as we walked, so happy. So this is what it feels like to cling to a rich friend. Then let this rich friend make you even happier. Let me take you to eat something delicious. Deal. Am at the rich master's command. Laughing and talking, the two of us entered a restaurant. We used to find this restaurant way too expensive, so we had never set foot in it before. As soon as we sat down, someone brought the menu. Qin Feng opened it and glanced through. Sure enough, none of the dishes were cheap. I was afraid Qin Feng would worry about the cost and order cheap stuff, so I said, I'm going to the restroom. Qin Feng, you take a look first. Order whatever you want. Order whatever you feel like eating today. Qin Feng flipped through the menu. It felt like he was about to start drooling. Everything looked so appetizing, but ordering too much would be wasteful since there were only two of us. So he carefully picked out a few of his favorites. His head was buried in the menu. He heard me but didn't even spare me a glance. Yeah, I got it. Just go already. I finished in the restroom and was walking back, just a few steps away from my seat, when I saw the two people I hate most entering this restaurant. Su Qin and Gu Xiang were practically glued to each other, almost hanging off each other. The two of them were laughing and talking about something. I thought to myself, what terrible luck. I finally get out for a meal, only to run into these two. Return to my seat. I scrubbed my hands hard with a tissue, as if I had just touched something incredibly filthy. Qin Feng had already chosen 2 dishes. Noticing I was back, he sat closer to me with the menu and said, Brother Chen, I've picked these 2. See if there's anything else you want. Sure, you look and see if there's anything else. Right after I finished speaking, a fake-sounding voice rang out, Brother, why are you here for dinner too? Qin Feng and I looked up at the same time, saw Gu Xiang walking over. Su Qin was trailing right behind him. What? You can come here, but I can't. I spoke coldly, and Gu Xiang quickly replied, Brother, I didn't mean it like that. I'm just so happy. I didn't expect to run into you here. Ever since you moved out, I haven't been able to get used to it. Brother, could you please move back home? I was just about to open my mouth to respond, when Qin Feng, sitting beside me, suddenly let out a sneer. He spoke up sarcastically. You're not used to it. If you're not used to it, then you should move out too. You're already ugly, but your daydreams are quite beautiful. Hearing Qin Feng's words, I lowered my head trying to suppress a laugh, but in the end, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. I had to say, Qin Feng's savage remarks were truly effective. Qin Feng had already found Gu Xiang an eyesore for a long time. The little politeness he had shown him before was entirely for my sake. Now that I hated Gu Xiang too, he didn't need to hold back anymore. Gu Xiang was left speechless by Qin Feng's words to the point of being unable to speak. Angry, he pointed his finger at Qin Feng. Qin Feng, you. Qin Feng glanced at Gu Xiang, then pointed at the finger aimed at him. Hey there, Mr. Li. Didn't your mother teach you that pointing at people is very rude? Mr. Li? Who are you calling Mr. Li? Gu Xiang hated it most when someone mentioned his old surname. He had dared to change it to Gu, so why did these people always have to remember his original surname? What? Been a swan for a few days, and you've already forgotten your roots. Whatever you were doing, go back to it. Don't hang around in front of us. Qin Feng waved him off. After saying that, he turned back to look at the menu with me, completely ignoring Gu Xiang. Gu Xiang was so furious he stamped his feet repeatedly. Noticing Su Qin standing behind him, he shook her arm. Sister Su, look at this. Brother, say something. Didn't you always say you wanted to see him? Now he's right here. If you have something to say, say. After speaking, he gave her a gentle nudge forward, winking at Su Qin, telling her to take the initiative to approach me. Su Qin saw that I didn't even bother to look up, so she put on a fawning, smiling face. Leaning down, she said, That's right. Gu Chen, it's been a long time since we've happened to meet like this today. Why don't we have a meal together? I pretended like I hadn't even noticed her, looking up with a look of surprise. Oh, why are you here too? I didn't realize you were here. How is it that every time my little brother is around, you're always there as well? I asked that on purpose, to see how she was planning to act this out. She hadn't expected Gu Chen to be so blunt. Su Qin's smiling face stiffened. Then she shot a glance at Gu Xiang. Lying, she replied, I just happen to have some business to handle here. Gu Xiang quickly agreed. Right. I was shopping around here and coincidentally met Sister Su Qin while she was working. So we decided to grab a bite. Brother, since we ran into each other anyway, I'm sure you don't mind if we sit with you. Exactly. It's been a while. Dinner's on me today. Gu-chen, can you spare some time to eat with us? I inwardly rolled my eyes in disdain, thinking these two are such a nuisance. A look of impatience gradually became evident. Who would want to eat with you guys? Just looking at your faces makes me lose my appetite. I was just about to refuse, when Qin Feng gave me a light tug under the table. I narrowed my eyes at Qin Feng in confusion. What's the meaning of this? Does Qin Feng actually want to eat with those two? Qin Feng then gave me a wink, nodding slightly to signal me to just agree. A look of surprise crossed my eyes. No idea what kind of scheme Qin Feng was hatching, but I could only follow his lead, glancing at Gu Ziang and Su Qin with a distant tone, coldly saying, "Fine." Hearing my agreement, the two of them looked delighted, as if their plot had succeeded. They hurriedly sat down. Su Qin sat across from me. Gu Ziang sat facing Qin Feng. Su Qin sat opposite, observing me from a close distance. She realized that I looked especially attractive today. Not sure why. I just felt completely different compared to before. She secretly compared me to Gu Ziang, and realized I far surpassed Gu Ziang in both looks and family background. After all, I was the biological son of the Gu family. No matter how much Gu Zhongqian favored Gu Ziang, in the end, he was just an illegitimate son. The high society values noble birth above all else. The more Su Qin fought, the more she felt she had to win me over. She was extremely confident. With her manipulative ways, no man could ever resist her charms. Gu Chen, go ahead and order. Don't be formal with me. Just order whatever you like. She spoke generously, with the tone of someone very wealthy. I pushed the menu over to Qin Feng. Qin Feng, you order. Then I won't hold back. Qin Feng had been waiting for this very moment. He rubbed his hands together, casually picking up the menu, then pointed at dishes while talking to the waiter. This one, looks pretty good too. One of each, please. This dish and that one too. One portion each. No one knows how many dishes he ended up pointing to. Finally finished, he closed. The menu, that's it for now. Let's go with that. We'll order more later if it's not enough. Su Qin secretly sighed in relief. Finally, this little brat has stopped. She almost couldn't hold back from shouting that there's no way the four of us could finish all this food, but she was afraid I'd think she was stingy. She had no idea what Qin Feng had actually ordered. The food here was all incredibly expensive. She began to feel restless and uneasy, wondering if the allowance her father gave her this month would be enough to pay for the bill later. The waitress carefully recorded each item ordered. Seeing that Qin Feng was finished, she asked according to the routine, "Yes. Would you like to have any dessert after your meal?" Hearing the waitress's words, Su Qin almost jumped up and screamed, "No need." She bit her lip, silently praying that Qin Feng would refuse. She lowered her head, not even daring to look up. Qin Feng just perked up his ears to listen. She desperately wanted to hear the sweet words, "No need." But how could Qin Feng possibly let her have her way? He glanced at Su Qin's reaction. A mocking smirk played on his lips. Then he smiled and asked the staff, "Do you have any delicious desserts to recommend? We've recently added red velvet cake to the menu. It's received very good feedback from customers. Would you like to try some?" Qin Feng nodded. "Sounds good. Let's go with that. Then one portion for each of us, please." Upon hearing Qin Feng's answer, Su Qin's fantasies instantly vanished into thin air. She only felt her heart was bleeding. She couldn't hold back any longer. Quickly speaking up, "I'll skip the dessert. I don't really like sweets." After saying that, she looked at me with a forced smile, using the smile to hide her embarrassment, saving every penny possible. At this moment, she had already begun to feel regretting her slip of the tongue in announcing she'd treat me to a meal. And on top of that, dragging this Qin Feng guy along. Originally, if it were just her and Gu Ziang eating here, the money she had would have been perfectly enough to pay. She began to highly suspect that Qin Feng was intentionally messing with her. Knowing she was treating, he purposely ordered so many dishes. There are only 4 of us. How could we possibly finish all that? Now she could only hope that when the bill comes, heaven would look down on her with mercy, letting the number on the receipt look a bit more manageable, and that the balance on her card was still enough to swipe. Otherwise, she couldn't imagine how humiliated she would be. While Qin Feng was ordering, I finally understood why Qin Feng had told me to agree to sit and eat with Gu Ziang and Su Qin. Turns out he was ordering a ton of food just to give her a hard time. I was secretly laughing to myself, barely able to contain it. I can always count on Qin Feng for these kinds of mischievous tricks. I glanced at Su Qin's reaction. Her face grew increasingly pale as she heard Qin Feng ordering. I even wanted to take out my phone and record that expression, so she could see for herself how pathetic she looked right now. Qin Feng used his shoulder to give me a little nudge. He looked at me and raised an eyebrow. The corner of his mouth couldn't stop twitching upwards. That look was like he was telling me, "Praise me. Go on. Praise me." I let out a hearty laugh. Under the table, I secretly gave Qin Feng the thumbs up. The food was quickly brought out. All sorts of dishes filled the entire large table. Qin Feng couldn't wait any longer and picked up his chopsticks, getting ready to enjoy a truly satisfying meal. He also wanted to see why these dishes were so expensive. If he had to pay for it out of his own pocket, he would definitely be heartbroken over the money. Even if I paid, he would still feel bad for me. But this table of food was completely different. Since the toxic girl was paying, not eating would be a waste. The more he thought about it, the more delicious the food looked to Qin Feng. Gu Ziang looked at the lavish spread of food. He also felt it was a bit too much. He could tell at a glance that Qin Feng had over-ordered on purpose. How are we supposed to finish all of this? Qin Feng heard Gu Ziang's question and found it quite annoying. If you know it's too much, then keep quiet. Why bother saying it out loud? Even the person paying has to grin and bear it. I don't think it's much at all. Even this whole table of food can't shut you up. Qin Feng was fundamentally a person who valued sincerity. Since you've asked so sincerely, I'll sincerely answer your question. Gu Ziang was scolded into silence. Qin Feng didn't bother paying him any more attention. He leisurely enjoyed the whole table of delicious food. He even served me some of the best dishes, suggesting that I try them out too. Brother Chen, this one is great. Give it a taste. I picked it up and ate it. Qin Feng looked at me expectantly. How is it? Well, I nodded in praise, very delicious. As expected of a dish recommended by my Qin Feng. Seeing this, Su Qin also wanted to take the opportunity to show off. Tell me which dish is delicious. Brother Gu Chen. Before she could even finish her sentence, I didn't even bother to look up at Su Qin once. I coldly reminded her, no talking while eating, no talking while sleeping. Su Qin's face immediately turned sour. Being spoken to so bluntly by me, she felt so humiliated she didn't know where to hide her face. Was I implying that she had no manners? Kept my head down and focused on eating. I wouldn't let the person I hate sitting in front of me affect my appetite in the slightest. You must never waste a delicious meal. When I found something tasty, I shared it with Qin Feng. The two of us chatted while we ate. The atmosphere was incredibly pleasant. On the other hand, Gu Zian and Su Qin could only eat in silence. The food tasted like wax to them. Hearing the sound of happy laughter coming from Qin Feng and me, deep inside they were filled with intense hatred. What, no talking while eating, no talking while sleeping? It was just an excuse I used to shut them up. Gu Ziang felt even more resentful and indignant. He looked at Su Qin beside him. Then he looked at me sitting across from them. Suddenly, an idea popped into his head. The corners of his mouth curled up, his eyes gleaming with calculation. While no one was paying attention, Gu Ziang took out his phone and stealthily placed it at the edge of the table. He pointed the lens towards Su Qin and me. After angling it perfectly, he quickly pressed the shutter button. Gu Ziang looked at the two people in the photo. Satisfaction caused a smirk to form on his face. Looking at the photo, it appeared as if Gu Chen and Su Qin were sharing a meal, alone. Coincidentally, Su Qin was looking directly at me, and at that exact moment. I don't know what funny story Qin Feng had told, but I was laughing quite brightly. Anyone seeing this photo would think that we were on a date. He searched for Shen Bei's name in his contact list. He selected the photo and hit send. Gu Ziang saw that the message was successfully sent. A cold smile lingered on his lips. When he looked up, he returned to his calm and collected state. His expression was as if nothing had happened. Recalling how he got Shen Bei's contact info, it was only through his manipulative schemes that he obtained it. That time on a rainy day, I was sick. Shen Beizi was incredibly worried when she heard the news. She bought a lot of medicine and stood outside my building all night, but I didn't see her then. Only Gu Ziang knew the real reason behind that. The reason I didn't see her was that he interfered. I was deliriously ill at the time. I had no idea Shen Baiji had come to see me. Gu Ziang knew very well, but he was determined not to let her meet me. Back then, it was him. Gu Ziang approached Shen Baiji step by step, telling her, "My brother doesn't want to see you. Please go home. Why don't we become friends? I'll give you updates on his condition anytime, so that you can be at peace." Shen Baiji agreed, and after they became contact, Gu Ziang did indeed send her reports occasionally about my health status to Shen Baiji. At that time, Shen Baiji even replied to his message. She even took the initiative to ask about me. But once I had fully recovered, no matter how many messages he sent her, he never received a single reply. She wouldn't even send him a simple okay. Gu Ziang was consumed by jealousy. He had fallen for this woman from the very first sight. He was utterly infatuated with her. And yet, Gu Chen clearly did nothing. Yet in Shen Bei's eyes, there was only ever Gu Chen. Gu Ziang refused to accept this. If he couldn't have her, then Gu Chen wouldn't have her either. That's why he always looked for ways to badmouth Shen Beiji in front of Gu Chen. telling him how terrifying the rumors said she was. In the end, that fool believed everything. He listened to everything he said. He truly gave Shen Beiji no chance at all to get close to him. But even so, Shen Beiji's eyes still only ever held room for Gu Chen. Gu Xiang didn't stand a single chance. Looking back at Su Qin beside him, her looks were just average. Her family background was nothing special. She had zero ability. She was always begging her family for money. Aside from her sweet talking and flattery, she was useless. If they weren't in the same boat, sharing the same goal, and if Su Qin didn't still have some use to him, Gu Xiang would never have chosen to be with her. The people at the table. No one noticed Gu Xiang's sneaky behavior. Qin Fang and I continued eating and chatting casually at the Shen office. Inside the CEO's office, Shen Beiji heard her phone's message alert. She thought it was a message from me. With a joyful heart, she quickly picked up her phone to check, but she saw that the message was from Gu Xiang. A bad premonition flashed through her mind. She always felt that messages from Gu Xiang would certainly be nothing good. Shen Beiju frowned slightly. Her lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't want to look, but she thought it must have something to do with me. After some hesitation, she opened it and saw the two people in the photo. Shen Beiju's heart tightened. It felt as if her own breath had stopped. Her eyes were glued to the picture. Her hand gripped the phone tightly, gripping it so hard her knuckles began to turn white. Perhaps because she didn't want to believe that the person in that photo really was me. Shen Beiju used a trembling finger to zoom in on the photo. After zooming in, seeing my face beaming with a bright smile on the screen. Shen Beiju's eyes turned red. The veins on her neck pulsed with intensity. Her whole body was trying its best to hold back. Her expression was one of extreme pain. 1,000 questions arose in her heart. Oppa Gu Chen, in the end, you still haven't let go of that woman. Is that right? Then why, during these past few days, have you been so good to me? Was all of this a lie? So what do you want now? Do you think that woman named Su Qin is still better? Do you want to go back to her? No, I will absolutely never agree to that. Once you've provoked me, I won't let go so easily. I will use every means possible to keep you by my side. The mere thought of me leaving her made Shen Bei's heart ache even more intensely. It felt as if with every breath, the pain grew a little stronger. She let out a low growl of frustration. With a violent swing of her arm, she swept all the documents off the desk onto the floor. No, I can't let Gu Chen leave me. I have to go catch him and lock him up. Shen Beizu was very busy today. She had to chair several important meetings. She was so busy all day she hadn't even had time to eat. Perhaps because her spirit was under too much stress now. Her emotions were fluctuating too violently. Just as she stood up to go find Gu Chen, suddenly her vision blurred and everything went dark. Her body involuntarily collapsed onto the floor. The sound of documents scattering everywhere was loud. Wen Xiao outside heard the noise, coming from Shen Beiji's office, fearing something had happened. She rushed inside to check the situation. She didn't even have time to knock. Upon entering, she saw Shen Beiji slumped over. She called out anxiously, "CEO Shen." She ran over, helping Shen Beiji into the break room, laying her gently on the bed. Then she hurriedly called Lin Mu Yao, telling her to come at once. Lin Mu Yao had just received the call and immediately dropped everything she was doing, racing to Shen Beiji's company. She arrived in no time. After finished checking, she breathed a sigh of relief. She started setting up an IV for Shen Beiji. Wen Qiao stood nearby and asked anxiously, "Dr. Lin, how is CEO Shen now? Is it serious?" Lin Mu Yao shook her head slightly. "She's fine. Just low blood sugar combined with emotional instability. I've started the IV. A little rest and she'll be fine." Assistant on, she's so busy she forgets to eat. "I have to look after her," Wen Xiao thought to herself. "I want to look after her too, but is that even possible? I've advised Shen Beiji so many times, telling her to eat before continuing work, but it's useless." Before Wen Xiao could even reply, she heard Lin Mu Yao continue, "Never mind. Even I can't handle that stubborn temper of hers. Let alone you." Wen Xiao nodded repeatedly in agreement. A short while later, Lin Mu Yao's phone rang. Afraid of disturbing Shen Beiji's rest, she went to the door to answer it, then returned to Wen Qiao's side. Watching Shen Beiji in a deep sleep, she told Wen Qiao, "Keep an eye on the IV, pull it out when it's done. Something came up at my hospital. I have to rush back. Call me anytime if something happens." Wen Qiao nodded. She replied solemnly, "Yes, don't worry." I don't know how much time passed. Shen Beiji woke up. Her eyes stared blankly at the ceiling. Consciousness gradually returned to her. She blinked slightly. A single tear silently rolled down from the corner of her eye, falling down. She casually wiped it away with her hand. Seeing the IV needle in her hand, like a sulky child, she forcefully ripped it out. Blood quickly began to ooze from the injection site. Wen Xiao, who was watching over her, saw Shen Beiji wake up. She was feeling relieved. But the next second, she saw Shen Baizi rip the needle out. Her expression changed instantly. She hurriedly grabbed a cotton swab to apply pressure and stop the bleeding. This behavior was truly too reckless, but she didn't dare say it. Before Wen Xiao could even apply pressure for 2 minutes, Shen Baizi brushed her hand away. She struggled to get up and leave the bed. She absolutely had to go catch Gu Chen and bring him home. She was afraid Gu Chen would never return, that he would never come back to that home again. But as she sat on the edge of the bed, she hesitated. She wondered, what if she used force to bring him home? And Gu Chen started to cry. She couldn't bear to see his tears. At that moment, she would surely soften her heart again. If Gu Chen cried and begged her then, begging her to let them be together, what would she do? Shen Baizi didn't know what to do anymore. She rested her elbows on her knees and bowed her head. Her fingers ran deep into her hair, with a voice full of despair. What should I do? Tell me, what should I do now? Wen Xiao stood nearby. She was both nervous and curious. She felt extremely awkward. She didn't understand what had happened, let alone what was the right thing to do. Wen Xiao, out of her duty as an assistant, and her concern for Shen Baizi, she still spoke up. CEO Shen, do you need me to do anything? Shen Baizi didn't answer. She kept her head down, seemingly deep in thought. It was clear to see. A lonely aura constantly radiated from her. After a long while, just as Wen Xiao thought Shen Baizi wouldn't reply, she finally spoke. Tell the 2 men following Brother Gu Chen to bring him home immediately. Tell them it's my order. Once back without my permission, no one is allowed to let him out of the bedroom. Wen Xiao hesitated slightly. EO Shen, do you really want to do this? She was mainly afraid Shen Baizi would regret it. Weren't the 2 of you doing so well a few days ago? Back then you said Gu Chen was moving in with you. You even used that to tease her, mocking her for being a single dog every time you spoke. But now, what on earth has happened? Serious enough to place Gu Chen under house arrest like this. If Gu Chen never forgives Shen Baizi in the future, then she will be the one to suffer in the end. She struggled within herself for a moment. She took a risk and made up her mind. Wen Xiao finally chose to advise the CEO. Must you really do this? If something's wrong, you can go and talk frankly with Master Gu. Shen Baizi's heart was now filled with nothing but fear. Fear that Gu Chen would leave her, leave this home. She couldn't listen to another word. She knew very well. She fundamentally didn't dare to face Gu Chen right now. She couldn't bear to hear his voice, let alone look into his eyes. She admitted she was running away, avoiding everything she didn't want to face. She couldn't accept the fact that Gu Chen would. She would rather use the most ruthless method. She had to bind Gu Chen to her side, even if he hated her for the rest of his life. As long as Gu Chen stayed with her, that was enough. Shen Baizi didn't listen to Wen Xiao's advice at all. She spoke in a low, husky voice. Her voice trembled slightly. Just do as I say. Wen Xiao knew well that Shen Baizi wouldn't listen to her. She let out a soft sigh in her heart. Feeling a bit helpless, she only hoped the 2 of them would reconcile soon. She replied with a yes. Then she went out to arrange the matters that Shen Baizi had entrusted to her. Qin Feng and I had almost finished our meal. We called the waiter over to pay the bill. The waiter held the bill, bowing respectfully to Su Qin. Hello, miss. Your total bill this time is 588,000 yuan. Here is the receipt. Please confirm it. Su Qin nearly fell off her seat when she heard the amount. She almost tumbled backward onto the floor. Luckily, she managed to grab the edge of the table in time. She felt as though her heart were bleeding. She took out the card that her father used to send her monthly allowance, handed it to the waiter and said, "Swipe it." Su Qin couldn't stop, muttering a prayer that the balance would be enough. It must be enough. Before she could even finish her prayer, deep down in her heart, she heard the waiter's voice. Miss, the card shows insufficient funds. Do you have another card, miss? As soon as Qin Feng heard the waiter's words, he almost burst out laughing. He had to pinch his thigh hard, trying to remember all the saddest things in the world, to finally hold it back. Serves you right, you pretentious fake. Trying to act like a big shot. No money, but still brave enough to treat everyone. If you said you wanted to treat us, then go ahead and show us what you've got. Su Qin was incredibly embarrassed. She didn't expect the heavens wouldn't give her any face at all. She had never felt so humiliated in her entire life. She thought about asking if Qin Feng or I had money to help her cover the bill, but when she looked at us, she realized we hadn't even spared her a glance the whole time. She had to keep her mouth shut. In the end, she couldn't say a word. She turned to look at Gu Xiang. A flicker of hope appeared in her eyes. She leaned in closer to Gu Xiang. Lowering her voice, she whispered, "Little brother Xiang, could you help me pay the rest of the amount?" Of course, Gu Xiang absolutely didn't want to. He knew Su Qin didn't have much money, but he didn't realize she was this broke. Though he knew this restaurant was expensive, being unable to pay the bill was just pathetic. He found this woman more and more useless. but the waiter was still standing there waiting. If Suchin wasn't ashamed, he was embarrassed for her. However, if she wanted him to pay, she was dreaming. But he still had to pretend a little. He squeezed out an apologetic smile, softly saying to Suchin, "Sister Suchin, I just bought so many clothes and models. I spent all my money for this month." Hearing this, Suchin's blood boiled with rage. Her eyes, wanting to strike someone, glanced around. In the end, she still had to suppress her anger. She rummaged through her wallet, pulling out all her credit cards, tossing them onto the table, watching as every single card was swiped until empty, finally finishing the payment for this wretched meal. Suchin let out a sigh of relief. But less than 2 seconds later, she panicked about the credit card debt. The days ahead, she would probably have to tighten her belt for a while. No, she absolutely had to keep pursuing Gu Chen. She had to win him. By then, the shares left by his mother would all belong to her. She needed to make a thorough plan. How to make his father cough up more money for her. Payment done, Qin Feng dragged me right out of her, without looking back even once. As soon as we stepped out of the restaurant, Qin Feng glanced back. There was no sign of Zhu Xiang or Su Qin behind us. He finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Qin Feng laughed so hard he couldn't stand up straight. He kept laughing as he walked, muttering, "That was hilarious." Chen Appa, did you see the look on her face back then? When she heard insufficient funds, her face turned pale as a sheet. I've never seen such a funny expression. Ha ha ha, I wanted to laugh too. The corners of my lips just kept curving up. Seeing Qin Feng laugh until his stomach cramped, I couldn't help but grin along with him. I had to hold Qin Feng up, because I was afraid he'd laugh until he fell on the ground. All right, stop laughing, or you'll get wrinkles all over your face. Qin Feng stood up straight, gently pressing the corners of his eyes with his fingers. He laughed until tears almost came out. I'm still young. Time couldn't possibly be so cruel as to leave marks on this handsome face already. I let out a soft chuckle. Checking my watch, I said to Qin Feng, "It's getting late. Let me take you home." Qin Feng gave a sly smile and leaned in close. Looking at me, he said suggestively, "Do you want to get home early to be with that person of yours? Gu Appa, you're truly choosing love over friendship. No longer your most precious baby." After saying that, he even pretended to sob a few times. I gave Qin Feng a look. Cut the acting. If I'm late, my little Baizi will be worried. Do you think everyone is as carefree as a single dog like you? With nothing to worry about. As soon as I said that, I immediately brushed Qin Feng's hand away, laughing as I ran ahead. If I didn't run, Qin Feng would surely chase and beat me up. Gu Chen, you stop right there. If I catch you, you're dead. Qin Feng shouted as he chased from behind. The two of us chased each other down the street. As we were about to reach the parking spot, I, running in the lead, was suddenly stopped by 2 burly men, blocking my way. Qin Feng arrived right after. Seeing me surrounded by those 2 tall, muscular men, being obstructed, he hurriedly rushed forward, running up and pulling me behind his back, spreading his arms to shield me. He held his head high, puffing out his chest, looking at the 2 giants with a wary gaze. "What do you guys want?" The 2 men, however, appeared very polite. They bowed slightly to Qin Feng and me. One of them spoke up to introduce themselves. "Greetings, Master Gu. We were sent here by CEO Shen. I am Liu Yang, and this is my younger brother, named Liu Guang." I looked at the 2 brothers and asked, "And then?" Liu Yang bowed his head slightly, replied, "CEO Shen ordered us to come and take you home." I frowned slightly, a bit suspicious of their identities. I didn't want to go with them. I have my own car. I can go back by myself. No need to trouble yourselves. I intended to lead Qin Feng toward the car, but Liu Yang and Liu Guang blocked us once again. My temper was about to flare up. I took out my phone, intending to call and ask if these 2 were actually sent by Shen Beizi. But when I called Shen Beizi, her phone was off. I then called Wen Xiao and the call was quickly connected. Assistant on. Were Liu Yang and Liu Guang sent by Beizi? Why is her phone turned off? Wen Xiao replied with a bit of nervousness. That's what CEO Shen instructed. CEO Shen. She's still in a meeting right now. Her phone probably ran out of battery. She just made up a random excuse. She didn't dare tell the truth. Seeing that I had hung up, Wen Xiao let out a long sigh. Life is so hard. Being Shen Beizi's assistant is even harder. Turned off my phone. Once I was sure they were her people, I no longer resisted, since it was Shen Beizi's wish. Even though I didn't understand why, she suddenly sent someone to pick me up like this. I was still willing to follow them. Anyway, Shen Beizi would never harm me. There was no need to make things difficult for these 2 workers. I handed the car keys to Qin Feng. "Qin Feng, you drive my car back. Just come pick me up next time we go out." Qin Feng was still a little worried. Those 2 giants really looked terrifying. He didn't want me to go with them at all. He kept clutching my hand tightly. I gave him a reassuring smile to put him at ease. I gently pried Qin Feng's hand away and pushed him toward the car. Smiling, I said, "Don't worry, it's fine. Shen Baiji's people won't do anything to me. I'll stand here and watch you leave before I go. Then call me immediately if anything happens."
Qin Feng was still worried. He kept looking back after every step as he walked away. It took a long time before he finally drove off slowly. I followed Liu Yang and Liu Guang to the car. Liu Guang opened the door for me to get in. Once I was settled, he closed the door. Then he went to the passenger seat. Liu Yang sped away, heading straight for Shen Baizer's villa. The atmosphere inside the car was far too quiet. I couldn't help but ask about Shen Baizer. Why did she suddenly tell you bring me home? While driving, Liu Yang replied, Master Gu, we don't know the specifics. Fine, just as I expected. I knew they would give me that answer. Let's talk about something else then. Your names are quite interesting. Liu Yang and Liu Guang combined make sunshine. Are you two biological brothers? Liu Guang replied, yes. I continued, so you're twins. Yes, and I said with a proud grin, see, I guess it right. I told you both look exactly the same. Liu Yang and Liu Guang glanced at each other. They felt a pang of pity in their hearts. I was still in the mood to chat with them, completely unaware of what was waiting for me up ahead. Actually, how could I not know? Shen Beiji's phone was turned off. When Xiao said she was in a meeting and her battery died, I didn't buy that excuse for a second. I know Shen Beiji would never ignore my calls without a good reason. Moreover, specifically sending 2 people to take me home. Calling it picking me up sounds nice, but in reality, they were here to seize me. This isn't like anything Shen Beiji would normally do. Something must have happened for things to end up like this. I obediently followed them back, simply because I didn't want to hurt Shen Beiji. Going back to find out exactly what happened, I sat in the car, leaning my head as I pondered everything. I gazed out the window, dazed. Slowly, raindrops began to hit the window glass, streaming down the surface. I blinked. It was raining. I've never liked rainy days. In my past life, I died on a rainy day just like this. That day. The day that left me without even a glimmer of hope. Maybe it was the weather. It made my heart slowly sink as well. Alone, I lowered my head and eyes, lost in unknown thoughts. Soon, the sound of Liu Yang opening the car door, telling me to get out, interrupted my train of thought. Liu Yang said, Master Gu, we've arrived. I looked up and out of the car. Seeing that this was the familiar place, I gave a small nod and stepped out. Once out, I walked straight into the villa. Liu Yang and Liu Guang followed right behind me, always keeping exactly 1 pace away as they followed me into the hall. Butler Wang and Auntie Zhang were both there. They had also received word from Wen Qiao, saying that by Shen Beizi's orders, I was not allowed to leave my room even for a step. During this time, Wang and Zhang had witnessed every single moment between me and Shen Beiji. They had seen it all. Shen Beiji's sudden command made both of them very anxious. They thought I would make a scene and start shouting. So they waited for me to return, wanting to advise and comfort me. Instead, they saw that I was quite calm. Gu Chen looked at Auntie Zhang and Butler Wang. As they watched him with worried eyes, I gave them a reassuring smile and said, Butler Wang, Auntie Zhang, it's okay, you two should go get some rest. With that, I turned around, and without a word, I walked straight upstairs. Liu Yang and Liu Guang followed me up, waiting until I entered the bedroom and closed the door. Then they both stood guard, one on each side of the door. I went into the room and straight to the bathroom to wash up. After showering, I saw Shen Beiji still hadn't returned. My eyes lowered slightly in disappointment. Picked up the phone to call her, wanting to ask when she would be back, but the call went straight to voicemail. I felt a bit anxious, wondering if something had happened to Shen Beiji. I had to call Wen Xiao instead. Wen Xiao answered quickly when she saw it was me. Where is Shen Beiji? Tell her to pick up the phone, I spoke bluntly. Wen Xiao told me to wait a moment. Then she covered the receiver and walked over. She whispered to Shen Beiji, President Shen, Master Gu is calling. He wants to speak with you. Ever since she woke up, Shen Beiji had buried herself in work. She wanted to use work to numb herself, so her heart wouldn't feel so much pain. Hearing Wen Xiao say I was looking for her, while typing on the computer, those busy hands suddenly froze. Her lips pressed thin, her fingers tightened, as if she had made a massive decision. Then she forced a bitter smile and waved Wen Xiao away. Wen Xiao understood that Shen Beiji just didn't want to talk. She let out a soft sigh, then stepped out to answer me, Master Gu. I just checked, President Shen is still busy. So when I heard Wen Xiao's words, I knew Shen Beiji was avoiding me, purposely refusing to answer my call. I replied with disappointment, all right. As I was about to hang up, I still felt uneasy about Shen Beiji. I quickly asked, Shen Beiji, she's okay, right? She's fine, Master Gu. Don't worry. That's good then. Goodbye. I hung up. Hearing she was okay made me feel much more relieved. The rain outside grew heavier and heavier, even from inside the room. I could hear the rain lashing against the windows. I looked around the empty room. Without Shen Beiji here, I suddenly felt like this room was frighteningly large. Hearing a loud clap of thunder, I quickly scrambled onto the bed, wrapping the blanket tightly around myself. Curled up alone in the corner of the bed, I looked all around the room. Night had fallen deep,
But I didn't feel sleepy at all. Without Shen Beiji, without her here, I didn't dare sleep. Nor did I dare turn off the light. I missed her so much my eyes grew red. My hands trembled. I reached out from the blanket to grab my phone. Once I had it, I quickly ducked back under the covers. I called Shen Beiji, but it was still turned off. Listening to the automated female voice on the phone, I finally couldn't take it anymore and buried my face in the blanket, sobbing. The more I thought, the more aggrieved I felt. Crying, I mumbled curses. You rotten Shen Beiji. Mean Shen Beiji. You won't even come home. Fine, then don't ever come back. How dare you not answer my calls? I'll never pay attention to you again. You didn't even explain what happened. You just set people to guard me. If you're so tough, don't let me for the rest of my life. Before I could finish my sentence, suddenly a bolt of lightning tore through the silent sky, followed by a thunderous roar, like continuous battle drums pounding in my ears. I was so terrified I forgot what I was about to say. I could only curl up tightly under the blanket. I don't know if it was from the fright, but I felt a sharp, stabbing pain in my stomach. I clutched my stomach with all my might. I had never felt a pain like this before. Gradually, the pain became more and more intense. It hurt so much I couldn't even sit up straight. I slumped onto the bed, curling up and clutching my abdomen. The pain was so great that beads of sweat broke out across my face. Strands of my messy hair stuck to my pale face. My fine eyebrows were knit tight in agony. I shut my eyes tight, gasping for breath in short bursts. I thought to myself, I'm not going to die like this, am I? No. I haven't even married Shen Beiji yet. The more I thought, the more my consciousness faded. And then I slowly drifted into a coma. The rain outside continued to pour down relentlessly, mixed with the occasional roar of thunder. All those sounds seemed to be drifting away from me, further and further away, so far that I couldn't hear anything anymore, only sinking deep into my own dream. I dreamed of the scenes from my past life again. Gu Xiang and Su Qin were using chains to lock me in that dark basement, that gloomy, pitch-black place, a place where not a single ray of sunshine could reach. However, the difference from my past life was that in this dream, Shen Beiji had also abandoned me. In the dream, she looked at me with an indifferent face and said she was tired. She didn't want to love me anymore. She was going somewhere very far away. And then she would forget me forever.